discussing about like the dynamic, like I'm gonna watch the relevant parts,
Discussing
kind
about
of,
like the
you know.
dynamic. Shoot.
Like I'm gonna watch the
One
relevant
sec.
parts, kind of.
There we go. Okay, my stream is not muted. Now it is. We're good.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah, I was getting the echo. Wanna do you wanna use your camera or no?
Well,
If not, that's
I
fine.
I
I
don't
can just
I
put
don't
your
mind either.
logo on mine.
Like
Oops.
usually my conversations are like audio only.
That's totally fine
So
with me.
like but like we if you want to put video on, I can put video on.
Uh, I to be cool.
All right. Hold on a
But
second.
I'm certainly not trying to push you to do so.
Bum. There we go. Hello.
Hello. Wait, you don't look like the guy from your profile picture, do you?
The,
Is that
the
you or is
fuck?
that just some person?
In my profile picture? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's me.
Man, I very much have a thing where I always profile pictures are really tiny, so I always have some like idea in my head of
uh
what they are, and then when I see them big, I'm like,
uh
oh, uh,
well like
oh, I
if
guess maybe you do
you
have. Do you have long
yeah.
hair?
Yeah, I like it's just in a
Oh, okay,
ponytail
it's
right now.
okay. I was
Yeah.
like, it looked like there's like a dude with like really long hair, and then I was like, did you just have some random dude there? Okay, okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Uh, it hid well. I guess yeah, it's black on black. I'm dumb. Okay.
Yeah, I like black. Like I just wear black all the time. Like that's leftovers from my emo days.
Cool. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand that I really am a huge Destiny fan. I've been a Destiny fan for like five
Yeah,
years. Never
like
watched live, but like probably watched like everything.
I mean the first time I saw you was when you called into Destiny before
Like
the
when I
Mr. Girl
interviewed him.
interrogation stream.
Oh, okay. So that's the third time I talked to him.
Well like so so I
That was the
learned
time that
about
really mattered.
Destiny around the time when he went on Dr. K. Um
Oh, okay.
do
Did,
and then like yeah, like we don't have to talk about that.
well,
Uh
no, I just curious. Then, does that mean like you were a regular watcher of Doctor K, and then you found Destiny because of that?
yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Destiny fan who came from Mr. Grill's community is like it's like the perfect brew of like somebody to like really not like the guy that I'm a really big fan of.
Well, okay, so it's so I don't hate Mr. Girl.
Sure.
Um
I believe
because
you.
well, okay, so like it might be a big copium on my part, but like a big reason why I don't really hate Mr. Girl is because I think he's trying to make a broader societal point, but to make that point, he kind of has to play a persona. So I kind of like I don't know if I'm fooling myself if Mr. Girl isn't who he says he is, if that makes sense.
Um so you think it's a
Like
character?
I'm really hoping because if I truly believe he is 100% exactly how he is on screen, yeah, I would probably really dislike the person.
Oops. Okay, so let me put it to you this way. This is how exactly how I think of it. Um you know when you go to work, you're just like very much a different version of yourself than you are at home.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all I think it is. It's him,
hmm
but like that kind of a change that you go through like if you're hanging out with your homie at his house, there's a version of you that's a little bit different than you at home, but when you like go from you at home to you to work, there's like a like I don't know, there's it's like significantly more than
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you are hanging out with your friend. I think it's like the
hmm
shift from that to work. I think there's like he's modified by like a lot of additional responsibilities and
No,
like
I'm
the
not
kind of work
saying
clock
that
commitment. I don't
he's
think it's a
not.
character.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a character in the sense that nothing is actually true, but I think on stream things are a little maybe a little bit more played up, if that makes sense.
Uh,
Cause like let because it would kind of be the inverse of going to work, right? So like when you go to work, you kind of moderate your behavior. So you're still you, but like you like let's just say something makes you really upset, but your boss is the one who said it. So you kind of push that like upsetness down. Whereas if you are just hanging out with your friends or something, if somebody says the exact same thing, you might be a little bit more prone to speak up about it, right? So
Sure.
like you aren't exactly how you are um at like hanging out with your friends as you are at work, right? Like those are
Correct.
two kind of different um things. And like but like what they say, or like what Shaylin and Mr. Girl says, is that what's on camera is exactly what is at home. And if that is the case, then like that's like I'm a little bit more like, oof, I don't know about this guy, but like if he's playing something up on screen, like even though like it's not necessarily false or like, wrong, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like played up a little bit more than
Yeah.
what he actually would be, which like what I keep telling my friends, or like people I talk with who don't like Mr. Girl, is that like I think he does bring in a very interesting dynamic where like a lot of people online talk about hypotheticals, and it's very easy to engage with hypotheticals.
Yeah.
But then when the actual thing comes in front of you, you might feel a different way. So Mr. Girl is that like putting that different thing right in front of your face. Like cuz like the discussion about like pedophiles and kind of like not like kind of destigmatizing pedophilia, not the actual like molestation, right?
Yeah.
The pedophilia, and making them be more comfortable to out themselves so that they can get help and stuff like that. But like when an actual pedophile is in front of you, do you still hold that belief, kind of thing? So like
Oh, sure.
um so like in like I think those kinds of dynamics Mr. Girl is like really good for, but like if he actually truly is all those things, I don't know, right?
If he is
Like
all what things?
like if he like the pedophile stuff is whatever, because like I do hold like if you have not harmed a child, like you should be able to get out and get help. So if he actually is a pedophile, like that wouldn't really change my thought. But like
Right, right.
for me it's more the uh like the abuse part. And this is why I wanted to talk to you about the consent expert, because
Oh,
like
sure.
because okay, have you had contact with her after your video?
Um, no, it's been a little while, but like I've known her for many, many years. Well, we work together,
Hmm.
and like we're friends. Her life's
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
hectic right now, and like between work and she just got married, so like it's
Hmm.
she's kind
Oh
of
yeah,
hard to
yeah, yeah.
reach
No,
to
no,
me.
no, no,
So
no.
I
Like
haven't. I would say we haven't spoken, but not like she's not talking to me now.
well, no, no, no. I was just wondering because like
Oh wait, no, that's not
because
true. It's just been a while. I talked to her a couple days afterwards, and then like maybe like a week afterwards to just talk about
because
the
like
video we
you
made.
said that she was going to or you were gonna try and get her to watch a couple more Mr. Girl videos
Oh yeah.
and
I
stuff. And I was wondering if she because like
yeah.
so the big reason why I wanted to talk to you is because when you asked her if that was abuse or not, the
Hmm.
answer she gave was do you remember the answer she gave?
Yeah. So she gave me essentially two answers that mean very similar things throughout the
Hmm.
conversation we had. One of them is that there's not really information there for
Hmm.
her to say if it's abusive or not. But then also she said that just what she saw on its own isn't enough to constitute it. So I think what she's saying is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
there's nothing clear here that says abuse is happening. Like nobody should look at this and go like, I know it's abuse. Like there's certain things that could make it so, and there's certain things that could make this like the most innocent thing ever. So there's just not that information there, and that the reason why I really drove on that point there is that everybody acted like this is obviously fucking abuse. They need to treat him as though he's abusing Shaylin, when there's just no evidence within that to suggest it.
Okay, so I'm going to actually say the read I got from her answer was kind of the opposite.
Really?
That it holds all the hallmarks of abuse, but like this is a one-off situation. There's not enough like because abuse like to say someone is abusive, it needs to be a pattern, right? So like you could like be beating the shit out of someone, but if that's a like a really like extreme circumstance that led you to do it, then you're not necessarily an abusive person, right?
Sure. I was gonna say, but abuse could be like one off. If my
Like the action is abuse, but like just because someone did abuse doesn't make them an abusive person,
oh sure,
as I
yeah.
understand. Yeah. So like I think that was what she was saying, is that like
Hmm.
I don't know like I don't see a pattern, but like this has all the hallmarks of abuse.
Interesting.
Is what is the feeling I got, and like your answer was, oh, okay, so it's not abuse then, and like that was like really surprising to me, that like again like it was she didn't lay it out like I wish I wish I got the quote, because like that was like really surprising to me, like her answer and then the answer you gave her answer was like almost completely the opposite. um
Interesting.
so that's why I was wondering if you talked to her afterward.
Uh, yeah, like we touched base. Like I told her, like I'll let her know when I get it edited and on YouTube, which took me like quite a long time. Uh,
Yeah, I mean it was it was a long video, which I love long form content, because like I do manual labor, so like
yeah,
I can listen to stuff at work, so I got 8 hours a day to listen to shit. You know, long form is great for me.
yeah. I used to do a lot of
Um,
painting and roofing and shit, and like that was
mhm.
like eventually I just had to turn to like some kind of like radio show or like podcast,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
just to have something to rely on. So yeah, I get that.
yeah. So,
Um,
but
I
yeah,
I,
like
I
so
hope
that
I'm
was
not
the
misreading her, but like I will. Uh, I'm definitely taking what you said into consideration. I guess
well, like
I'm gonna touch
it
base
could
with
be
her.
me reading a little bit too much into like projecting what I thought of the situation
Well,
into what
sure.
she said. It
And
could be that could be the case, right? Like, but like I just want to ask you if you talk to her after that, because like I mean like at the end of the day, whether or not he's abusive to his girlfriend like doesn't really change my life. Like I would like people not to be abused, but like if even if she is being abused, like she's still choosing to be in that position and stuff. So like, who am
well,
I to
that gets kind
say
of
like
sticky.
you? Yeah, yeah. So like, I'm just like I'm not that invested. It was more like it was more the like what intrigued me was your answer to her answer, and that intrigued me a lot. Like I was
Sure.
but
Uh,
like you like I was gonna ask you how did you come to that conclusion, but you kind of already answered that.
yeah, and
Because like your reading of her answer was that way, and I was like, that's kind of interesting, because that's not how I saw her answer. You know?
yeah. Well, I guess the thing, uh, the reason why I take your criticism of that really seriously, to like maybe it's at least worth looking into, is because I think I mostly just leaned on like having known her for a very long time, and
Hmm.
just like think that we have like a good uh like a good way of understanding each other. Because I used to say things to like trigger her and piss her off when we worked, but she understood that like even though I was saying things that she actually didn't like, that like that was it was like friendly, and that's like one
Hmm.
of the reasons we got along really well. Uh, and so as just time went on, like I think that we had like a pretty good way of understanding. But I haven't seen her in a long time, and if I am leaning on that, then and it seems so shocking to somebody else, like I guess it's worth re-examining. Uh,
Well, no, like
because nobody's
I
nobody's
mean
said
I've
that to me before. I hadn't had to consider that at all. Well, I think maybe well, somebody I think maybe wanted to, but we ended up talking about something else for like the majority of the conversation, and we missed it.
hmm. Well,
But
like that's just like one of the big reasons why I wanted to talk to you, because like not because like I disagree, you must agree with me, I'm gonna change your mind, but I'm just more intrigued on like how you think. Cause like
Sure.
you don't like if you don't mind me saying you don't think like the average person,
I don't think
right?
so. Yeah, I mean, I've in the past too. I've just straight up asked like therapists that I'm like, am I crazy? Like, it seems like a lot of people think very differently about a lot of things than I do, and like I feel like I have to consider at a certain point, like maybe I'm wrong about like a whole lot of shit, despite the fact that I really, really think about like a lot of these things that I strongly disagree with people about. Because it's not like a
Mhm.
small minority. It seems like quite a few people strongly feel different than me about a lot of things, and they're always like, "No, I think that you're fine," and I'm like, "Okay," but like that's almost an
Well,
easy. That
like
would almost be an easier
you
answer to accept. Is that like maybe I'm just nuts?
what well no like you like I mean I don't know your therapist so I don't
No,
know
it's
what
been
they
well.
meant,
I think just like a
but
couple
like
throughout my life, I've asked this too because
mhm.
shit. Uh, I think because I'm not very. I'm pretty thick-headed. I need people to like convince me. I'm not gonna just say like, "Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree with you" if I don't. And it's definitely been I've had a rough go of it at different points in my life from just not agreeing with people. So
Well,
but as
yeah,
I've
like it
got older, I think I've kind of learned
yeah.
to uh look for things when people like what you just said to me is that it's really crazy to me that you got that out of what she said. So I'm like, all right, fair enough. I should probably check that back out.
Mhm. But like so like I do kind of agree with her point of view where like we probably shouldn't be like jumping to conclusions off of one or two instances, right?
Yeah,
But like those kinds of instances kinds of like concerns me when they say no, how he is off screen is exactly how he is on screen. And that like but like I guess like I kind of kind of fool myself by saying like he's probably like hamming it up for the screen, like the cameras.
but can you
Like
give me an example of like what the hamming up would be? I guess before I say like this is what I think. Uh, Oh, I think I have an explanation for kind of where that's at too. I think Mr.
mhm.
Grill is like you ever hear when people talk about actors like they describe how they were like as kids and stuff? They're always
Yeah,
like
being a little bit extra.
yeah, that's how they are. So I think that when there's
Yeah.
like a stage so to speak, like he's it's not acting, like he really wants to be more a little more extra. You get that kind of burst of energy. You kind of
Mhm.
want to be it's like if you're around certain people
Yeah,
and you
but
want to be a little bit
like normal
edgier because you're around them. I
yeah,
feel
but
like it's like
normal
that.
people would say yeah, but normal people would say that like they are a little bit different around like a crowd versus like at home.
Um
That's what like I would assume. Like I've had friends who are or like former partners who are like very extroverted, but like when we're like at home with just the two of us, they're pretty chill.
yeah.
And I'm not gonna say they're fake or like they're like a completely different character, right? Like their beliefs and stuff are all still the same, but like I wouldn't say like yeah what how she is like out at a party is exactly how she is at home, right? Like there is a
Sure.
difference there. But like that might just be me, right? Like maybe they meant that like um the beliefs and like the general person is like themselves are the same, but like maybe he
Yeah, it's hard to
doesn't
interpret
do
what
all
they
that
mean when they
extra
say
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Because they could both just be saying that like operating on like the vibe like they neither of them thought that that video was abusive, so they're saying like he's generally not abusive, even though like things might seem tense. That can all look like a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like it
it's
can run the
tough.
gamut of like it actually is an abuse to like a really really abusive person
If every
and
day
like
looked
the
like the
abuse
doll review,
victim is yeah like
yeah, that would probably be pretty bad. If that was like an everyday like this is how we communicate about everything all the time.
yeah
It's
like
always
if
this
we have
intense.
yeah if we have if we have a disagreement like we're like cuz like it's really hard to say that there was a partnership in the decision making in that situation if that makes sense,
What do you
you
think
know.
that the decision making was about?
'Cause so like different people act in different ways, right? And you might think that your way is the correct way. But like if you haven't brought someone into that way of thinking, then to like demand that someone act in that way while they're in like a really emotionally charged moment in time is like pretty bad in my opinion, if that makes sense.
Sure. What you're saying, so are you saying that Mr. Girl is pushing her too hard to like answer him?
Um or like so uh I forget like I wrote this whole whole not essay but like
By all
this
means.
comment out back in the day when I was like really because like I'm really fascinated by like human interactions,
Yeah.
which is why like I wanted to talk to you, and I like having like conversations with like different people, especially when they're willing to talk about it, right? Like but like just like watching that dynamic, like from Mr. Girl's point of view, it almost felt like she was trying to control him by making him like lay out what she is or isn't allowed to do. Therefore, if there was a bad decision made, it would be his fault, right?
Um.
Just like generally
Yeah.
speaking.
Well. So here's the thing. Kind of, but I don't think it's bad. When
Yeah,
we're
no, no, no.
talking
I'm
about the kinds of things they were talking about, he's saying I need you to be in full control of the decision making of this, because
Mhm.
I don't want to. Like if you're not, then we're running the risk of me doing something to you that we both agree is really bad, which would be like being put in an odd sexual situation that you don't fully agree to all of it about. So like if something bad
Mhm.
happens, the bad thing that happens is just going to be like a happenstance between the parties. It's not going to be because like he had any part in the decision making of like if she was going to do this or not, which I think is when she's distressed about the thing but like willing to do it. It's like, well, I don't love the idea, but sure, I can do that. As sometimes people make concessions in like long-term
Mhm.
relationships. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, that's great. That's what I want. But I need to, in order for me to do this, I need you to be in charge of the decision making on it, because otherwise I can't like in good conscience like participate in something like this. I have a big ask and it requires like big consent on your part, which would be the
Mhm.
taking control of the decision
Yeah.
making.
Yeah. But like from her point of view, right? Like she might not be like super thrilled with the idea, but she's willing to kind of go along because that
Yeah.
this is an ask that he's willing to make. But like I think like again, this is all like my hypothesis. Like this like may or may not be true, right? But like it what it felt like
Uh huh.
was that like she doesn't really feel like she has like uh how to say it, like he's making a big ask
Yep.
and she wants to make him happy, but she's also trying to like I guess not like straight out ask for it, but she's like okay, I'm making this you're making this big ask, but I also want you to um kind of go with me on this like emotional journey, right? Um
Sure.
and like be with me and like kind of like be on my side as opposed to like when you like a lot of times when you make a big ask, it kind of turns into like an adversarial point of view, if that makes sense. Right? Because like
Things got tense.
you're making a big ask from someone, and like the other person may or may not want to give it to you, right? So like there's kind of a conflict there, and especially when it comes to like sexual things, like intimate things, like when there's a conflict there and then you get intimate, like it feels really fucking weird,
Right. So
right?
here's the thing. On the actual part of like whether or not she was cool with the sex act, she was like, yeah, like right away. That wasn't an issue. The thing that they actually argued about was when. Like
Hmm.
he said just like once a month, and they agreed that was already agreed upon. There was no arguing, no fighting about that. That was like something she was like, no problemo, dude. I got you. But then she's like, so when are we gonna?
Well,
When are we doing this?
well,
That well, comparatively to the thing that we're actually talking about, where they had the long drawn out argument. The long drawn out argument was when she was like, okay, so if it's once a month, she's like, do you want to do it on like the first, or are we starting from like today? How do you want to do that? And he's just like, I want you to stop. He's like, because he's saying like, I don't care. That's totally up to you. This is in your. I don't want to talk about
okay,
that stuff. We already agreed. I don't want to keep talking about the thing after we're like you were like, yeah, that's fine. Once a month, okay. You can pick the date. I don't want to have a conversation about the date with you. Like you, it's all up to you. That was what all the
uh,
contention was over. That he saw that as
no,
controlling.
I did not see it that
But
way.
you didn't watch the review.
Well, no, I saw the argument part. I didn't watch the sex doll review
Oh,
part.
so you did see the last 30 minutes like YouTube safe part. I thought you said you did
Okay,
not.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm okay. Maybe I was misunderstanding, but like, yeah, I watched that whole interaction.
Okay, that's
Um.
what I was saying. Like you should really watch. I wasn't trying to
Oh,
get you to
okay,
watch
yeah.
the pornographic parts.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, yeah, okay.
About
But
10
yeah,
minutes
because
in,
like,
I put the window down, so I just didn't have to see his dick. I was like, all right, I get the whole video. I don't have to see it. Is a little
yeah.
weird
So
for
like,
me.
there's because like there was a lot of talk about that interaction, so I watched that interaction. I didn't know like
Okay,
where like what part of which video it was, right?
sure.
Um. That's why I said I don't know if I watched the last part or whatever. Uh,
Okay, yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
I said
That was at the
I don't
end.
think I said I didn't watch it. Yeah, because like I don't know what parts of what I watched, right? But yeah, like so I watched that interaction. It's like it seemed to me that she wasn't really thrilled with the actual act
Cor-
itself, but
Correct.
she was going along with it because that was an explicit ask that he made,
Yeah.
right?
Do you think that's bad?
Um, in and of itself,
Yeah.
probably not.
Okay.
But I would say if you are making a big ask, you kind of need to be, or not you need to be, but like if you want, if you're making a big ask and you are being like aware of the situation, I think you do need to understand that when you make a big ask from someone, they're also expecting you to kind of like help them facilitate that big ask, if that makes sense.
It does. However, I don't necessarily. I think that if you're not comfortable being in charge of certain parts of it, because you can't, like, if it's like immoral to you to make those parts of that decision, then what choice do you have? You have to say no. If in order for him to feel safe doing that, like asking for that, he needs her to be in control of like the decision making for it. Um, do you think that I laid out reasonable reasons why somebody might need that for the other person to like be in charge of the
Yeah, no,
details?
no. So here's what I like, what I kind of came away
Okay,
after watching that is that what Mr. Girl's asking from his point of view is 100% reasonable, 1000% reasonable.
okay,
Like I don't think he was making an unreasonable ask. And like if I'm only looking at what he wants and needs, then what he is saying makes complete sense.
sure.
But like we are kind of ignoring what the other person wants or needs, right? At that point. Right?
Um,
Like if I'm
Maybe you explain
like
that.
okay, so let's say me as a worker for a company, I have certain demands and wants, right?
Sure,
Like I need money in exchange for my work. Otherwise, why the fuck am I working, right?
sure.
And stuff. And then the employer also has wants and needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like they need labor, they need stuff, but there's also something that they're willing to give, and that exchange, right? Like the agreement between the worker and the employer makes that situation work, or
Okay.
like at
Yep.
least function, right?
I fully follow you.
But if one side is only looking at what they need, right, or what they need or want, and the other side is like let's say the employer says, "Hey, I need labor," and and then the what's it called, the employee is like, "Well, I don't know," like the no the employer is like, what, sorry, hold on,
No
fuck,
problem.
I'm being attacked in my game, sorry, hold on a second.
No
uh
worries. I'm playing a game with my wife.
oh, nice.
Kind of autopiloting, but doing not as bad.
I really love playing games with a partner. I wish I could do it more often.
I'm very lucky in that respect. I married a nerd, so
Nice.
she likes a lot of the same stuff that I do.
Okay. Uh, sorry, like I was not planning on being in. Like I'm being pirated right now.
You're
I
playing Sea of Thieves?
no. I'm playing Elite Dangerous. It's a
Oh, okay.
space game. But yeah, so like uh, I'm kind of I'm like I made sure I was doing like I'm just traveling back and forth, so half the time is like empty time
Yeah.
so that I can talk. But like I got like I'm being pirated, so put in uh I'm being put in combat that I wasn't expecting. Sorry.
No problem, man.
It should only be a couple minutes
Oh
though,
shoot.
so
I told a friend of mine that I would link him this stream when I went live. I think I forgot.
Let's crack this case wide open.
So I'll take advantage of the situation here.
please explode, die, etc. There we go. Whew. All right, I killed him.
He saw. He called me a name and told me I forgot.
Whoops.
Damn.
All right.
Scathing.
Ain't nothing worse.
Yeah, he got me for that. You let me know when you're good.
I just killed him, so I believe
yeah.
I am good.
Okay. So
Okay,
you're
where
discussing the
were we?
transactional nature between worker and employee.
Oh yeah. So like so when you have like the uh like it kind of feels, at least to me, like a situation where like so like there's the employer who is like, I would like you to work for me, but like uh you like let I would like you to work for me, and you like at the like let's just say during a hiring process or whatever, like they're like, how much how much would you like to be paid? And the employee is like, I don't know, how much do you want to pay me?
Okay.
And the employer is like, well, no, I need you to be in charge of that.
That sounds like
Like,
an amazing deal.
well, kind of, but not really, right? Because if you ask for too much, then they won't hire you.
Sure. Kind of. But if you can't get what you want, then why would you take the job? If you're asked, so yeah, that means that you're gonna kind of be in this spot where you're gonna ask for a reasonable rate for what your skills can provide, and then they're going to, if they say that's too much money, then you're like, oh well, then fuck, they don't even want to pay me what's reasonable. Okay, well then I guess
Seems
fuck
I may
them.
have a new suspect.
I guess it's a little bit different if you're
Kind
like
of, but
desperate for a job, and like you need
yeah.
to take any money. So the fear of negotiating whatsoever is so coercive on you that like you
Mhm.
basically have to say minimum wage. Do you think that
Well,
that's the
that's
position?
kind of like the problem that we're having in like workplaces today, right? Where like people are so replaceable that they can't really ask for a whole lot, right?
Uh,
Like if
kind
like
of.
some like McDonald's tried to unionize, then the franchise owner could be like, okay, fuck y'all. Well, I'm gonna fire you all, and I'm gonna get I'm gonna get some people who are gonna be willing to work for what I want to pay, right?
Well, I think that if you're that replaceable in a job market, then you can probably find another job super quick too. So like I get it, but like I don't know. I think that I understand the point you're making. I don't want to get too hammered down on the whole job thing, but I
Oh
understand the
yeah,
point that you're
yeah,
making. That you might feel coerced to act one way or another. Sure.
yeah, and like at least
You want to play
from
again?
her
Yeah.
perspective, like it kind of feels um like like I don't know, like I would say 100% she probably should be voicing her wants and needs a little bit more strongly, which like I think was his point, right?
Yes. Yes. And
Um,
he made it slip on Destiny. So on that, I
mhm,
think we've seen the most like definitionally. When I say this, I don't think this is bad. Dishonest thing that Mr. Grill's ever done was in that conversation. He
mhm.
was pushing her. He didn't want her to think that he was pushing her to hold her boundaries, but he needed her to. That's what was really happening. He was being more aggressive and like that because he started to say it to Dustin. And he stopped saying it. I think it's. I think part of it might be a little bit embarrassing to say that you're trying to get your partner to hold their boundaries like that. Um,
Yeah, but like in a relationship dynamic,
mhm,
it does like when you're acting like when you're saying I need you to hold your boundaries
mhm.
while like while making a big ask while yelling at them doesn't really feel like you're trying to make them hold their boundaries, if that makes sense.
Um,
Does that make sense?
I don't think boundaries matter at all if you don't hold them during a big ask. That's the most important time to be holding your boundaries. And I think
Well,
that if you're
okay.
asking somebody for something that's like a
Hmm.
big ask like that, and you're not confident that they're capable of holding their boundaries on their own,
Hmm.
you have to you have to consider that maybe you can't ask certain things of them at
Yeah,
all.
100%. Right?
Yeah.
Like this is so like again, like if we break down each different action, none of it was technically wrong, right? But I would say if like I'm pretty sure Mr. Girl would know that she doesn't really hold her boundaries very well, right?
Right, which is why
Like
he
that's
had to
this
make
is a
sure she
big
was gonna
problem.
which is why he had to make sure she was gonna he had to put it
But
on her and
you
she
can't
had to respond
yes.
by holding them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can't do it in that situation when you're making a big ask because you're now arguing two sides. And when she's trying to make him happy, she doesn't know which side she should appeal to, if that makes sense.
I think that so if what you're saying is correct, then it's just never appropriate. Like I could never ask my wife for anything big and count on her to hold her own boundary. Like and we agreed
Well,
that if you
well,
can't hold it during a big ask, then you can't be asked, which essentially just means that you can't ask a close partner for anything that's like kind of a big deal. Uh,
not really. Like, that's not what I'm saying.
okay, where did I
Uh,
miss you then? Because I thought that we
okay,
agreed
so
that there's like
yeah.
this like flow chart of like can you
Mhm.
hold your boundaries during a big or like can you hold your boundaries during a big ask? Yes. If so, then is it okay to ask somebody for a big ask and expect them to hold them? Yes. And if not, then you can't ask them for the thing at all. It would be immoral to
Well,
ask
no,
them
no, no.
because they
So,
can't hold
so
it.
what I'm saying is, it's very confusing, right?
Hmm.
To somebody if you make a big ask, but then you're also expecting them to assert their boundaries, right? Because if their boundary is not not doing the big ask, does that make sense?
Yep.
So I don't think she wanted to do the thing, but she was probably okay with doing the thing. And then he comes in saying, "I need you to be 100% okay, like with this thing," and it doesn't seem like you are. So like he's like saying, "I want you to be okay with me doing this, but also you need to say no to this thing."
If you're not
And
comfortable, yeah.
yeah, like she's trying to make him happy.
Okay,
So she's
I don't know why that's a part of it. So to me, I think that an adult in a
Mhm.
relationship gets to decide if they're willing to do something they don't want to, like that they're not thrilled about. Like, have you ever had sex with a partner when you're just like, I don't want to, and you're not doing anything wrong, like you don't like you're just like, all right, fine. You can do things in a sexual
Mhm.
context with
Yeah.
somebody that you're close with. I would say this gets really dangerous the less you know somebody, but I think it's really reasonable to say that like you can weigh how you feel. I think that like the bar for coercion in like a long term relationship where people know
Well,
each other and you're
I'm not
willing to
even
sit down and
getting to
talk
yeah.
is would be like the bar is much higher. Things that a stranger could do would be like significantly more coercive than like a
Mhm.
person relationship because we have reasonable expectations that we can ask for things like that we can make requests of the other person and expect
Yeah,
them
for sure.
to hold their boundaries. Yeah, I guess I don't. If a person's able to do that, I don't see why it's why if she
Well, because
what she
she's trying to like
maybe I don't know what
so
you mean when you say she doesn't want to. Then maybe we're both thinking of different that in different ways.
well, okay, so she wants to make him happy, right?
Uh
And
huh.
so she is weighing his happiness over her sexual preferences. Like she might not want to do it, but uh have you ever had a girlfriend who didn't really like to go down on you, but she did because she knew it made you really happy?
Yeah.
Like
And it's
so
usually
like
awkward,
she,
and I it's
yeah.
like, well, but like, okay. But at the same
Yeah,
time,
but
too, I think whenever that happens,
mhm.
there's like a bit of pride, in it, like, well, I did something really cool. So
Yeah, so
it's not like when they're doing it, they're like, oh God, I don't want to be doing this. It's like not wanting to like do it and not wanting to be doing it. Those two things are like, uh, I would say if it's both of those things, then it's bad. But if like when they are doing like they're like determined, okay, I don't want to do this, but I'm gonna do it. If they're doing it and they're like, uh, I'm glad I'm doing this. I'm like I'm doing the cool thing, like I'm being cool.
mhm.
That's fine. But if they're like, I don't want to be doing this, that's fucked. They shouldn't be doing it.
Well, but they're doing it because they're weighing something else above it, right?
Yeah, that's how we make
Right?
like I think
Yeah,
all
so
decisions.
mhm. Yeah, for sure. So, but like you even when they want to do the action because of the other thing, the action itself is still not that pleasant for them, right? Like I don't love going to work every day, but I do because I get paid,
Yeah,
right? But that doesn't mean that I love going to work. So
true,
if my boss decides, oh, okay, I'm gonna give you a pay cut, I might not go back to work, right? Like
true. Yeah.
that's kind of the thing, right? So like even if I agree to do something that and yes, I do I guess kind of want to go to work because if I don't, then I don't get paid. But
Yeah,
that doesn't mean I want deep down inside I want to go to work. I dread going to work, right?
sure.
So like you can want to do something, but also have a negative feeling about doing that thing.
Yeah,
And
I
so
agree.
like it sounds like she agreed to do the thing, right? And out she weighed out whether her feelings on the action and um and his want for the action, and I guess his want for the action outweighed her negative feeling on the action, but that doesn't mean that like she doesn't want to make up for that in a different way, right? Like and it kind of so like this is just like a feeling I get when I was watching the thing, because like obviously I don't know either of them, I've never talked to them, so I
Sure.
could be completely wrong, but like it kind of felt like she wanted him to kind of go with her in like um like he calls it emotional babysitting or something, right? But like it's kind of going through things together so that she kind of gains the feeling. Because like if you think about the act that he was asking of her, right? Like he's like, I want to fuck you like you aren't a person, basically.
I want to jack off with your body.
Yeah. So like that. I mean, do you feel how that might lead someone to
100%.
feel a little bit dehumanized?
Sure.
Like
Yeah, 100.
literally dehumanized, right? So
Yep.
to like
But
and
she didn't have any issues with that. So I feel like once there's an
no no
agreement
no no
made
no
there,
no 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 no. She did have issues with
or
it,
sorry,
but
she agreed when she agreed to that. I would say that moving
yes.
forward, the other stuff, um,
Hmm.
all right, I guess let me cut to it this way. I don't see any way in which you can say that he has to violate his boundary of not being a part of the rest of the decision making anymore. Like if you say that it's wrong for him to ask that of her, it's just as wrong for her to ask it of him. It's like we're inherently because
No no
right
no
now,
no. Again.
wait. Let me just like lay it out.
Okay okay.
Because this is like the
Okay,
core
sure.
thing that I usually disagree with on most people. So we
Okay
have
okay.
so there's already been an agreement made, and now what we have is two people that both have a boundary that is kind of like bumping up against each other. She has a boundary that where she doesn't want to be making all the decisions about the date, and he has a boundary. He says, "I do." So one person is going to be more than the other, and what Mr. Grill is saying is that if we're going to do this, then I need you to take care of this part. I can't do that. So then it's up to her to either say, enforce her boundary and say, if her boundary is that there's no way this is happening this way, then she needs to say, I can't do that. And he said, okay, we can't do this. That's how that has to go. Otherwise, one person's boundary, that's both people respecting boundaries. The other person's or that's both people, holding their own boundaries, which is, in my opinion, how something like this is supposed to go. Both people need to be in charge of their boundaries and enforce them when something's up against them. Another way that this can happen is for them to discuss it and try to negotiate the boundaries of the other person, and then at the end come to an agreement or go back to the default one where we. I think you agree that what I described first was perfectly fine, and both people like everybody's good then, right? If they
Well,
went down the
so
path of
so
saying like I can't do that, and he says okay, if you
yes.
can't do that, then we
Yes.
cannot have this kind of sex, and then it ends and they don't have that kind of sex. This is a very good outcome. I would say this is like crazy healthy relationship conversation, right? They've just
Yes,
decided
but
this is not something they can do,
the issue is that she's not operating that way, right? So he cannot operate that way, if that makes sense.
which is why during that whole conversation, his objective is to get her to enforce her
Yeah,
boundary.
but you can't get someone to do something in that charged of a situation.
I don't know if that's true.
Oh, okay. So, uh, this is like probably not like one-to-one analogous, right?
Okay.
But do you think that it would be better for someone to unionize to like than to just be like taking whatever wages the employer gives them?
As a general rule of thumb, I'm gonna lean towards yeah. Without having all the details, unions seem to be pretty legit. They seem
Mhm.
to be pretty
Yeah, I
cool
would I
for
would
the worker.
100% agree, right?
Yeah.
Now let's say for example we have someone who we have someone who's like working paycheck to paycheck. They've got like a family to like they have a family to feed, and they're like basically on the brink of being homeless. do you think that like you can go to that person and like be like, you should push for unionization. You might lose your job, but like it's overall the best thing for you. Do you think you can get that person in that situation to start to like push for unionization?
I think it's a lot harder
Hmm. Because they're not operating under
because
that
there's a certain risk that's
circumstance,
associated with it. Yeah, if they lose their job,
and there's a lot
it's gonna
like
be
it's a very
sure.
charged situation, and like there's a lot of pressure on them to like take care of their family and all that stuff,
However,
right?
if we agree that it is in fact better, you do need to be pushing them to make the wiser choice for themselves, which is
Yeah, so I
if you're
would say if you're trying to get someone to like if they had the conversation just in a void, right? Like not after the ask, right? Because like that, like my issue comes making the ask and then making the like trying to push his way of thinking onto her while he's making that ask, and like it just gets super fucky for the other person, right? So like if you're trying to get someone to change the way they think, then you probably shouldn't do it in like a really charged situation where it's already kind of adversarial, right?
I think it can be fine. I don't
Well,
think
it,
that
it,
it's
it
I
can be
think that I
fine depending on the two people, right? Like if the two people are very open-minded and like are kind of emotionally chill, I guess, right?
uh
Like probably you and I can like talk about certain things while we're kind of like, arguing over a certain point, and like, and it wouldn't be too bad, right? Like I mean, I don't know you, but what I've seen of you, you seem pretty chill, like pretty even tempered, right?
yeah. In
Um,
fact, I had my first like public outburst just last night, or technically this morning, I guess.
uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Well, Cherry started talking shit about my wife out of literally nowhere. I don't talk about her. I don't talk to her, and she's in the middle of her stream for no reason. Basically called my wife ugly. So I'm like, fuck this bitch. She has me blocked on everything. Like she blocked me randomly up from her Twitch chat and on Twitter. Like I hadn't talked to her in like months. I hadn't talked about her. I was like, that was really weird. I wonder why she did that. I can't ask.
Probably after the big blow up between her and Mr. Girl, and you
It,
being Mr. Girl's #1 fan kind of probably makes sense.
if that's the case, it's very weird. Her and I had two really positive exchanges. We planned on talking shit again in the future. Like we were cool. We had fun. The one I interviewed her, and the other one like we were just like hanging out, and some other people were there. It was a cool stream. And then when that happened, I approached her and said, "Hey, Cherry, I don't know what's going on yet. All I know is that like shit's going down. But if you want, I'm gonna watch this, and so immediately before I can have any other thoughts in my head, because all I knew is I got like 5 million messages from people saying you have to watch the hotline. I said I'm gonna I can watch it and then immediately talk to you if you want. That way, I can get your opinions and we can have a conversation about it before anything like before I have time to like make any decisions about what anything. I'd really like to hear what you have to say, because this whatever's going on seems like a big deal." And she got mad at me. I was like, "Okay, that's fine. That's weird. But I guess we don't have to talk about it." Then when I found out what did happen, I told Cherry and Stardust, if you want to have a conversation with me, what I'm interested in is hearing your complete uninterrupted version of what happened. Nothing else. I won't push you on anything. The only questions I will ask is to make sure that I'm understanding what you're saying to me. And both of them have had good experiences with me. They had no reason to think I was trying to fuck them over, especially since everybody who talked to them really just wanted to fuck them over. They didn't want to hear what they had to say. They wanted to yeah butt them like crazy. And I thought there was proper value to hearing what they had to say. That was it. That was the last time I talked to Cherry. So I have no reason to think she did anything. And then she's talking shit about my wife, who doesn't have a public presence. So I got really mad.
I mean, that's fair, right?
Thank you. I think so too. I think that's really fair.
So I think them not really wanting to talk to you after you self-proclaiming as Mr. Girl's #1 fan kind of makes sense. Like maybe
Oh yeah, that's
not
fine. I have no hard
like
feelings.
yeah. So like
I'm just saying,
it's
like,
because
I
like
didn't do anything.
yeah, no. Like you did, I mean, aside from self-proclaiming as Mr. Girl's #1 fan, you didn't do anything against them, in the situation, or like.
Yeah, I haven't had any negative experience with them. They knew that I was his fan before that and all that, and that didn't affect our relationship whatsoever. I haven't done anything that would like. I didn't talk to them. I didn't talk shit about them to other people or nothing. Uh, so I don't see like why like many months later, she's talking shit about my wife. So I called her out on a Discord we were both in, and she said like stay blocked, cry harder, weirdo, and then she left that server. I was like, God damn. So I said she was a coward and I called her spineless on Twitter. That was my whole outburst. Cause yeah, I'm really chill, and I'm really calm and charitable with people, but like you shouldn't go after people's partners, especially ones that have zero online presence. Or maybe you disagree, but I think that's like a pretty like normal universal thing. Oh, you're frozen. Oh no, I think he DC'd. Shoot. Get him back? I hope we can get him back. You back? Hello?
Hello?
There we go. You're back.
Alright, I disconnected.
Yeah.
My whole internet went out for a second.
No worries.
Am I still live?
I don't know. You're still talking to me. I think Twitch usually reconnects. Do you use OBS?
Yes.
It does like the
I
auto connect
should
thingy,
be
but it could like fuck off and say that there's like an error or something now too. OBS is kind of a motherfucker.
Alright, let me just check.
No, I should not have died. That feels unfair.
Okay. I think because like OBS is still running, so like it's like my computer is fine. Just
Is the thing on the bottom right hand side, is that green, the little square?
I believe so.
You should be good to go. That
Alright,
means
let me
you're
check.
broadcasting. If it's red, then you're in trouble.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Get all of this open.
By the way, this is what you wanted to talk about, right? We didn't like get like off on a tangent
Well,
in
like,
the very beginning.
Like
Like-
when I first messaged you, I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about like the consent video.
Okay.
Because like that was really crazy to me. Like hearing her answer and then hearing your answer to her answer, I was just like, whoa, what the like? You must be on like working off of something very very different, because that was like the opposite of what I got from her answer. You know.
I might rewatch that too and go over because like it's possible that I understood the nuance of what she was saying, and because of mine and her relationship, I was saying it like that to be like yeah, I don't really remember now. Maybe I was like, oh, I get it, like you just don't have enough to say, but I'm gonna say like, so okay, so no abuse to like kind of fuck with her, because that's just like how we are. But if I depending on how I said it, it would either be that or just straight up that I that's what I thought. Cause I'm trying to remember now that you bring it up. I just don't remember. But I'm gonna also reach out to her and ask her like, was I like explain this to me? Like, did I misread you entirely or what? And I'm gonna rewatch that part of my video. But I think it's more likely
I should probably rewatch it as well, because like
one than the other.
Because like the way you were describing it, right, does kind of make sense to like your thought pattern and what you were thinking, and then your answer to her answer, right? Like that does make sense. It's just like not how I read the situation.
Yeah, it could be one or the other.
Which is why like I was wondering if she did start to watch more.
Oh, she said she was gonna. To
Mr.
me in
Girl
private.
stuff. And well, she said it on the video too, right?
Yeah,
Like that
she
she
said a
was
bunch
gonna
of
watch
stuff that set
more.
her up as like she fits the demo real well. There's a lot of big
Yeah,
agreements.
and again, like I think I've said this in our conversation earlier that like everything separately, like I agree with, and Mr. Girl does make some good points, but like put them all together and you got a really fucky situation, in my opinion.
I like I don't deny that it can seem like that.
Mm.
But I guess the thing that really convinces me of one way over the other is that there's nothing like malicious or even like attempting to be bad, or that it's not even done like exactly by the book. Is that the thing that is like talked about more than almost anything else in Mr. Girl's content, and then also like with him and Shaylin, it comes up a lot, is the subject of boundaries. I think they both have a very good understanding of what they are and how you're supposed to operate with them. So I think that there's
Well,
like I can't
not
imagine there
really
not
though,
being a
really,
certain level
right?
of like respect for operating with each other's boundaries in like the appropriate way. Wait, what do you mean not really?
Well, because like I watched Shaylin's interview with Chud Logic, and she was talking about like her history of being like super codependent and how like being with Mr. Girl is kind of like uh like slowly teaching her how to not be codependent, which is really good, right?
Yeah,
But like understanding that understanding that, do you see how I would think that the sex doll review situation was really bad?
to me that makes it better that he's trying to make
No,
her
it makes it
enforce her
so much worse.
boundary.
No, no, no. So it makes it worse in my opinion, right? Because you know she has a problem, right? And
Correct.
so so instead of like slowly like coaxing her away from it, you're throwing her into the deep end and be like this is the situation that you need to work on. Let's work on this while you're like drowning, basically.
I don't
Like it's
I
it's
don't think
like
that's
teaching someone
drowning.
to
I think it's
swim,
just a
but
disagreement about the date.
no,
Uh
it wasn't about the date. It wasn't about the date. Like I don't think
I
so.
believe it explicitly the argument was explicitly about the date.
No, no,
Well,
because
sorry, it was
because
about her being controlling through it. Uh,
in a way, yes, but only from Mr. Girl's point of view, right? Like because he's making the big ask. That's like to her as like from like if you think about it from the codependent mind, right? He's making a big ask, and like in order to make him happy, she needs to fulfill that. So like in her mind, that's a like she doesn't have power over that situation. Does that make
you
sense?
do, yeah, of course you do. So like I would say that any
No, no, no. You
like
do, but from the codependent mind, you're like from the codependent mind, your default is to anything to make the other person happy, right? Would
I
you
think this is
agree, disagree?
it depends on the level of codependency. It depends on where she's at. Like, there's, I'm sure that you could show me somebody who has a certain level of codependency where I'm just like, this person is literally is an infant. They cannot make a decision for themselves. Period. They are way too codependent. They literally couldn't be expected to make a decision about anything without this person literally holding their hand and like
Okay,
even further
let's
out. And then so we could work backwards from that, and I'm sure there's be a line where I would say like, okay, I feel like I couldn't trust this person to make a decision if the person they cared about asked them. But I don't think that I've seen anything
okay
that shows me that we're at that level.
well, I mean her reactions and actions all kind of point to that though. That because like I watched that before I watched that was way before the Chud Logic interview, and like it did come off as super codependent, and then when she said that during the Chud Logic interview, that was more of a confirmation than a revelation, if that makes sense.
Sure. Um, I don't think that having codependency issues render you incapable of making a decision that's contrary to making
It
the other person
shouldn't,
happy.
right?
If that was the case, then why were they fighting?
Well, no. So like, so here's the this is like, okay, this is my what I gathered, okay?
And
Like,
do you know
and
what
again, I
Shannon's
could be
reaction to
wrong.
it was? To,
That yeah, not everything was completely okay.
well, not only that too, she was super pissed off at the people saying things like "you are," because you're treating her as though she doesn't have the right to make her own choice. Like she lacks the agency that you're saying she lacks because of her codependency. Like that's offensive to her, and like I think that makes a lot of sense. She would say that if the way that I feel about her ability to make decisions is accurate. But if what you're saying,
Okay,
she would
okay,
have to
but
be lying that she's not
well,
capable
she
of
has
making
to
that
be
decision.
lying. She has to be lying in either case, right?
If
Because because you're saying that Mr. Girl is saying she can't make decisions on her own, and that's something she needs to work on. So he's saying she doesn't have the agency.
no, he's saying that I think the thing that was very clear here is that when there's higher stakes, it's very important to make sure that the other person is going to hold their own boundary. If they're kind of if they're asking you to, you have to be like, no, I can't do this.
Yes. And do you think she was?
I think she was trying to get him to engage with it, in which in that situation, what you're supposed to do, like this is what like the handbook of like boundaries and like everything that I understand about boundaries and like the psychology of this kind of situation says that it would be wrong of you to not make the other person hold their boundary. Or yeah, like you can't decide what their boundary is for them in this because you're doing something bad there. That's when you're taking like their agency away. If they're so codependent on you, you deciding where their boundaries are, that runs the risk of them just agreeing that that's what their boundary is then. Like if I'm so worried about her codependency and her decision making and making the other person no. Yeah, I have to expect the other person to know what their boundary is. No, I can't guess what another person's boundary is if they're codependent on me, because if they're so codependent that they're just going to say yes the way that you're saying, that means that I can just tell them what I think their boundary is and then they'll agree with me because of this high level of codependency. That makes it highly unethical for me to engage with any kind of guessing game with their boundaries, because then they have to say yes to me.
Here's a situation
Puts me in
that
a position to decide their boundary.
Yes. So here's a situation that I have gone through in real life. Okay. So I had a long-term girlfriend, and
Nice.
we were good. We were all that stuff, right? And at a certain point, she ended up cheating on me.
Sorry.
And because of her guilt over the cheating, like I didn't know this at the time. Okay, so like I wasn't working under this understanding, but so she cheated on me, but like because of her guilt and stuff, like she was really trying to make sure that I was sexually satisfied.
Sure.
But me, I saw her pushing herself to do things like even just having sex. It didn't seem like she was being like satisfied or like she was happy to have sex, right? So
Okay.
I stopped that because I felt that that was wrong, right?
Sure. Did
Like,
you stop that because you felt like she wasn't holding her boundaries?
yes.
All right. I think it was
Was that
also
wrong of me?
No, but I also think it's completely appropriate for you to say, hey, it doesn't feel like you're holding your boundaries here. In order for us to continue to have sex, we're in a weird situation where I can't be a part of the decision making in your boundaries because of the position that you're in. I need to know that the decisions about where your boundaries are and how you're enforcing them are coming from you and not from me. I think that because if I don't, then how do I know that I'm not basically
she was making
raping
all the
you?
decisions. She was making all the decisions, and I was the one who had to say,
Correct.
hey, yeah.
Yeah, but she was making decisions. You can make a decision that's against your own boundary, and I think you're doing something wrong. And what you're saying is that you detected she wasn't holding her own boundary, And
Yes.
what did you do about it?
And I said we should probably stop having sex until we figure this out.
That's exactly the prescription that I gave, and that's what Mr. Grill did too. He said, "Okay, well, I'm not cool with the thing I'm asking for until this gets figured out." That's
Okay,
exactly
so
what happened.
yes, so like in the Mr. Girl situation, right?
Uh,
The like if I was Mr. Girl and I was making the ask, I would sense that she's having issues saying no to the ask, and she's putting up little like the little defenses wherever she thinks she can get away with and not make him super mad, right? Does that make sense?
uh,
So like the ask is the like in my situation, like the ask in the Mr. Girl situation is the sex in my situation. And she's giving it to me willingly of her own volition, but I could feel that she didn't really want to. So I had to make the decision to not continue on with it.
yeah. So there's a couple of things happening here. So one is that you didn't just detect that she didn't want to do it. You detected that she didn't want to do it in to a far enough extreme to where it is unethical for you to it's unethical to the point where uh, you feel worse about the consensual sex that you would be having with her
Hmm.
than you would continuing. So that this is an important distinction here. So if this same thing happened, but we change like the volume on her level of discomfort, if she's like, if she didn't want to have sex with you because the bed made her itchy, and that's the only bed sheet you had, you'd probably like, but she's like, yeah, I will. Like, I hate how itchy it makes my back, but like, we can fuck. You probably give like way less of a fuck. Like, your desire to have sex with her and then her not to have an itchy back is probably going to be like, sex would probably win out, right? And that's fine. Like, I'm okay with you like conceding the itchy back for us to have sex.
Well, I mean, if she mentions it, I would ask her specifically, "Are you okay with it?" And if she says yes, then we would go on with it. But if later on down the line, she tries to get us to have sex anywhere but the bed, I would probably pick up on that and say, "Okay, well, let's try, like either let's get a new bed or like something, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like
And the only
just
way you
just
could do
because
that is
it,
to,
yeah.
yeah, but then she would still have it be enforcing her boundary and saying like, so if you're bringing it up to her, saying like, hey, uh, it seems like instead of just enforcing your boundary and saying no, you don't want to have sex on the bed, it seems like you're suggesting that we have sex on all these different locations, and I'm not really comfortable with that. Uh, I and so the way that you would find the solution of like getting another bed or this or that is by trying to figure out exactly what the problem is. The only way you can
Mhm.
do that is by getting her to establish clearly what her boundary is, so that way you don't cross it. You want to solve the problem, so you need to see where the lines
Mhm.
are, so that way you can
Yeah.
navigate from within them.
But when things are really touchy, like it, you can't like be doing having that conversation in such a like a charged situation, right? Like
I
that's my
think you
point.
can though. So like, wait,
Depending on the person. Like
sure.
in
When my wife and I
but
both
like
had COVID,
yeah.
we screamed at
Uh-huh.
each other. My wife and I don't scream at each other. We were both very high. Sorry, it was when she had COVID and I didn't. We ended up both
Mhm.
screaming at each other, and we both said a lot of things that were important to be said that we didn't normally say, and it was like super duper good for us. Like, damn, we should yell at each other more often, like at least like
Mhm.
once every month or something. This was very cool because they were things that we didn't even know that we felt until we had the pressure on. So I don't think that there's like a clear cut answers like you have to be in this situation in order to make a decision about boundaries, or you have to be in or in this position. I think that for different people there's different like levels of emotional turmoil and like levels of comfort that are okay to have these
Mhm.
conversations in. And based on everything that happened after the fact, based on everything that Shaylin has said, unless we're gonna say that she's brainwashed and she's gonna lie to everybody to like run cover for him, and if that's the case, then I guess we can talk about that. But I'm pretty confident that there's like no real evidence to suggest this whatsoever. Just like how people might feel because they have like a whole narrative played out about like the dynamic between them, which I could probably still argue because I've
Okay,
watched all the
so
shit. Like you, I just say like I don't
yeah.
think that you can make this judgment call and say that it's that they are not the kinds of people that can do this.
Okay, sure.
And even the crying doesn't really mean anything. I know people that cry so hard over like they will tell you it's nothing. Like I've met I've I don't know if I've dated any women like this, but I've met women that have told me like I just, I cry a lot. Like you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. They're just like if they get I know somebody cries every time they get jump scared in a movie. Like I don't see anything that was demonstrated in there that shows like this incapacity to have a conversation like this if things appear to be like super tense or whatever. I guess what
Okay,
she
so
said.
you truly believe they that just everything got fucked over because of the conversation around like what day that they're
Well,
gonna do it.
so it's about whether or not she was so it was about the day in the real contention there was whether or not she was being controlling about the day. Because that was like she wanted to have a drawn out conversation about it while they're doing the video. And he pointed out to her, and in other videos too, she always tries to like take control of like what's happening in the video. Uh, uh,
Hmm.
in this kind of a way. So it seems like there was a pattern there, and so they were fighting about that. Because they already locked down that they were going to do it. They already locked down like the frequency of it, and he told her he didn't care about the date. And then like things got really heated about when he called her. Things were fine until he said, "You're being controlling right now," and she was being controlling about having this conversation be drawn out during the video. Uh,
Well, it
like
didn't have to be during the video, right? He could have just turned off the camera.
wait, or she could have said, "I'm not going to have this conversation right now," too. Like, yeah, I
Didn't
don't.
she?
And then she got up and she left, and then she came back and continued the conversation.
Okay.
I think the bar's pretty high for me to take the agency away from somebody who shows that they can get up and walk away and then come back. Like if you get up and walk away, you're showing me that you're fully capable of holding this boundary. Like it took some pressure on her to hold her boundary. She got up and she left, and then she was very emotional outside of the conversation, and she came back and she had the conversation again, which means that to me that she
Mhm.
decided that she couldn't she dealt with the feelings that she couldn't have while she was having that conversation and came back. I think actually Shaylin showed a pretty good level of navigating her emotions really well in respect to her boundaries after kind of getting pushed to do so. Like that's uh, I kind of applaud that because most people won't leave at all. Most people will sit there and they'll fight. They're so bad at holding their boundaries that they will wreck themselves in it and they won't leave and they won't deal with their emotions that they have to come back and have that conversation. Shaylin seemed pretty good at it in that she did. She got through her emotions pretty quickly and she came back.
Mhm.
And, well, I'd say she was. She wasn't like sad anymore. She had anger, which for a lot of people is like a power emotion. Like you can really say what you want. You can like you're like really you're empowered. Uh, and
Mhm.
she said
Cool.
so she was like kind of like meaner to him and all that, and she said what she had to say there. It's like I don't really think that anything bad happened there. I think it's rough to watch. I think that conversations getting intense and people walking away and coming back and stuff, these are all like fine things to have. I think that they're pretty
Mhm.
healthy to a degree and normal. I think it's when people don't do these things that things end up being really bad and scary to me. If nobody's doing that, that means they're not holding their boundaries. If they're willing to sit in a conversation despite how uncomfortable they are having it, then they need to work on their boundaries. If she never
Do
left and she cried there
wait,
and all
wait,
that
wait,
stuff, maybe
wait.
a little
Hold on,
different.
hold on, hold on. Do you think that people can have conversations about their boundaries and hold them without like crying and leaving and all that stuff? Do you think someone can have like a calm
Yeah,
normal
absolutely.
conversation about their boundaries and say, no, I don't want to do this, all that stuff?
I think a lot of people have certain boundaries that they can't engage in any other way than that with them because they're tough boundaries. These boundaries are ones that have to be like tested and pressed when they
Mhm.
get bumped against in order to figure out really where they're at too. Uh, Where people draw the lines in figuring out what they're actually comfortable with can be a an ugly process. It even happens like on an individual level. Like it could just be one person pushing their own boundaries, having a really hard time dealing with it, disengaging from it, and coming back. These things are, I would say, it's very hard to say that somebody didn't uh that something bad happened when I see like some of these key positive things that happen when the tough part comes up with your boundaries, when you're
Hmm.
actually having them tested and you actually have to like engage with them instead of just like knowing that they exist in the background. But I think that what happened in that video was really good demonstration of how to properly interact with them. Like he gave the example, I can ask to drive up my car up your ass every single day. Uh, and it's not I'm not violating your boundary. It's because it's up to you to say no, you can't drive your car up my ass. And if you can't deal with somebody doing that, then you just say like, you need to establish a new boundary. Say, I need you to not ask me to do that. And if you are going to ask me to do that, then I am going to not engage with you uh, until I feel like you can stop, or just not at all. You can set an ultimatum if you have to. That's fine too. I actually argued with people about this specifically so much that I brought it to my therapist, and my therapist loved the car thing.
Hmm.
Maybe she's an oddball. Maybe she's like she doesn't understand boundaries. But that was one of the very first things I talked to her about, and I got like a sheet on it to see like where I could improve. And I learned a lot about boundaries from that, and like watching Mr. Girl
Hmm.
stuff and like researching them on my own. It feels like this is a thing that people really have a hard time uh engaging with in the way that like when I say like by the book, I mean like this is what it seems like
Yeah, but like,
the
okay,
thinkers in the field of psychology tell you to do.
all right. So here's a question. If you have okay, here do you think what Harvey Weinstein did was bad?
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Well, didn't he actually like rape people too? Or are you talking about like the
Mm,
coercive ones?
like I'm talking about the if you want to like if you want to get a job working in my movie, or if you want a job working in Hollywood, you got to do this.
Sure. I think there's some
Mhm.
tremendous differences here between the two things. One of the reasons that makes it bad is that he doesn't have an established relationship with this person, which I think is not even if he did, this still be pretty bad. But if they had
Well,
like
no, no, like I'm
some
talking
understanding.
strictly boundaries. Like, do you think he didn't cross a boundary there?
No, he did.
How?
He he withheld a
They agreed.
material he withheld a material thing from her. That is like the power dynamic there is like insane.
Hmm. For sure.
uh it's like saying like he's literally saying you cannot, what like he's saying is you can have this job if you do this thing, but what he's really saying is if you don't do this thing, and the thing that I'm asking you to do is something that we agree upon, people must be like there's a very low threshold for like the level of coercion that we're willing to accept in this. And the things that can like make it better is things like being in a long-term relationship, having good understandings of the people and all that. This is some guy who's saying you can't have your job, this job,
Mhm.
unless you do this.
Mhm.
This is what makes it bad. He's withholding like employment essentially for the exchange of sexual favors. That's the thing that what happened between them is Mr. Girl and her said,
Yes.
"We're going to do this thing, okay? We're going to do it this much, okay?" And then they
So
fought over
here,
whether she was
yeah.
controlling
So here's
about
my
the date.
question. Do you think she had a thought in her mind that if I don't agree to this ask, that either the relationship is going to suffer or going to end completely? Do you think that that she thinks that that's reasonable, or do you think that
She
that
might.
never crossed her
I
mind?
could even grant you that, but I think that anytime you ask somebody anything in a relationship, like there is some degree of possibility that if you don't agree with somebody about basically anything in any kind of
Hmm.
relationship, that it could negatively
Yeah,
affect that relationship. And
absolutely.
obviously, the thing more important the thing is to the person, the more that's going to happen. This is a fact of the matter of how things are. And when we talk about any kind of like interactions between people or boundaries, this is always a part of the equation. Like we always know that this is the thing, and like that I don't think that this possibility uh changes how we operate in terms of granting people agency to make these decisions. This is a romantic relationship.
Hmm.
Uh, Everything you do can have huge impacts. So I don't think that this is like a unique thing. Um, I
Hmm.
think that if you have a boundary about something, the fact that the other person isn't going to like it, like nobody likes it when they get told no for anything. When you bump
Yeah,
against
for
somebody's
sure.
boundary, it has a chance of affecting any relationship negatively. And I'd say that there's some things that even supersede that of sex. I think if I'm expressing an emotional need and that crosses somebody's boundary and they tell me to fuck off, like that's probably going to be a way bigger deal than bumping into a sexual boundary for me. Like if I want something, I can't have that. Okay, no big deal. Uh,
Hmm.
but like if I say like I'm having an emotional need that's not being met, uh, that's going to hurt the relationship a lot more because like I'm probably going to suffer from not having my emotional need met, and then but by ways that are like outside of my control to some degree, I'm going to like be more negative in ways that I don't fully understand, you know, because I'm not having my emotional needs met. That causes people to act negatively, less than like you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
you're suffering
Okay.
then.
Mhm. Yes. So here's my question.
Yeah,
Do you think that her way of asking for him to have emotional support for her is to like, I guess, walk with her down the decision tree, and that when he said it's up to you, like I don't really care, that kind of felt like him emotionally abandoning her.
he didn't say I don't really care. He said you pick. It
Yeah,
doesn't
like
matter
it
to
doesn't
me.
matter to me, you pick. Yes.
Yeah, you can pick any
Which is
day.
basically I don't, yeah.
Well,
Like
he
I
walked
don't
with
care
her
which
on the
specific day.
he walked with her on everything else and said like
Mhm.
this is where I draw the line. I don't feel comfortable being a part of this anymore. Um,
Mhm.
and it seems like all the consideration is on the things that are happening to her. So on the other side, this is what's happening to him. And I think it's important that you're we have what you're doing is you have an expectation of something on him, which is also an ask. The ask is to make himself uncomfortable in this situation after making the big ask,
Mhm.
and to be part of a decision making process that he is strictly, obviously, not comfortable being a part of. And so he has just made a big ask, which makes him feel very like anybody who asks something like that, you're vulnerable now.
Or
You won't.
explicitly not comfortable with, right? Like, right? So
Yeah,
like
he is explicitly not comfortable picking the like when it starts and uh like what day of the month it's going to start, because also too if he's a part of it too, then that means he gets to like put in a vote for like okay then today, in which case he's saying like now the ask is like not only do I want to do this, but now the day that you're finding out about it, this is the day that I want it. I want you to do this for me now. You're going to bring him into a situation where the thing that he obviously wants to pick, he can't even pick, but he's still supposed to be a part of the decision making process. This all gets really, really weird. It becomes way more ethical to me when she says, okay, when do you want to start? He goes, that's up to you. I need you to deal with this part of it. Yeah, you know, it's a very emotionally compromising situation where like I think the most emotionally manipulative thing you could do after getting those yeses is to then honestly answer that question of when we start. Because
okay,
if
so
it's
yeah,
today, that is the worst answer that you could give, right?
sure. Yeah, so like
So
here's
he has to,
like
either has to lie or not engage.
mhm.
I don't see what other choice he had but to hand it over to her and still be ethical. And if she wasn't okay with that, then she can say, then I don't want to do this, and then like this is just as far as the conversation goes, and it doesn't happen. Um,
And
so
like that would, yeah.
so why is his boundary of getting up to that point and saying like I cannot go further than this? I've we've made all the other decisions about this. This part has to be on you, and I can't even tell you that it's because I would pick today, uh, or just the fact that you know that I want it, so it could be today. If I even express that, that's putting that on you too. I have to just simply say, it's on you to pick the when we start this, because otherwise I'm going to feel like I'm coercing you, and I don't want to do that. So all he can say without adding any extra pressure on her is that you have to pick it. This is his boundary. What I just explained is his boundary that he is
Mhm.
enforcing as fuck here, because it's gotten to a point. He handled it right. He said like it's on you. I can't. And now they have to negotiate their boundaries, because it would be very immoral to tell him he now has to engage with this. He's established a boundary. You're saying, no, you have to throw away your boundary and you have to risk making her feel uncomfortable, even though you don't want to do this. This doesn't matter at all. All we care about is her boundary. It's not up to you two to negotiate it. Your boundary is garbage here. This is what I hear every time somebody has this
Mhm.
conversation with me. His boundary
Do you
to
know
not be a
why?
part of that is still relevant. It matters a lot.
Do
Otherwise,
do you
he's
know
going to have
why that?
sex with her thinking maybe he's raping her.
Well, no, right? Because like, so here's,
Yeah,
I
I
guess
think
maybe
so.
like, well, okay, so here's why, um, here's why I think it's important for you to, when you're making a big ask, okay, why is it a big ask?
Uh, like inherently, why is asking for like a new sex thing a big ask, or why
No, no, no,
specifically?
no, no.
What?
Why specifically in this particular situation? Why is it a big ask?
Because we know that she is deciding to do it, even though like it's not like it's definitely not the sex that she wants the most.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, like let's just say she was actually like you say, she was totally fine with it.
okay.
Is it uh would you still consider it a big ask?
No, I would consider it to
Hmm.
be a situation where
A
I
trivial
thought,
ask, right?
yeah, it would be like a lot. Yeah, you could build it up and think that it is. You just be nervous about it and be like, oh, cool. Which is
Sorry, my one of my viewers is being a headless chicken. And is yeah, going ham in chat. Uh
it's funny that you say this too, because very soon I'm gonna have my girlfriend watch the doll review with me. Uh,
okay.
I started dating her 2 months because she hasn't seen it. She's seen very little Mr. Girl. My wife and I argued
Okay.
about it for 2 weeks. So this is this is gonna come
All
up
right.
all over
So
again.
so
This is a
here's
good prep.
here's okay, do you mind if I get to monologue for a bit?
Please, absolutely do. I'm really
Okay.
and thank you for letting me have that. That's the thing I really wanted to say for a while.
Okay, yeah, but like I just 100 like I agree with the general premise that people's boundaries should be considered and respected. That now that doesn't mean that you could never push against them or anything, right? Like
Yeah,
so the reason I consider it a big ask is because I don't think she really wants to do it, right? So this it's like there are hard boundaries and then there's soft boundaries, right? Like you've got like do you watch NASCAR?
so very no. I really don't like
Fuck.
it.
Okay, I'll try to explain
I
so like
I I have watched it. I've been to them because I have
okay.
people in my family
Okay.
that like
So
it. So maybe it'll
so
work. You could give it a
like
shot.
there's a racing track, right?
Yep,
And then when there's the wall, there's the safer barrier, right? Which is like kind of like a soft crash cushion,
sure.
right? And then there's the wall, right?
Yep,
So when we have uh when we have our um when we have our boundaries, right? We have the soft boundaries, which is like the safer barrier, right? Like you can push up against it and it can give a little bit, right? Like there's an argument to be had there. And then there's like hard boundaries, which is like never, never, ever, right?
yep,
So like when I say he's making a big ask, I'm saying the ask is inside that soft boundary.
yep.
So she's saying, okay, I don't really like this, right? Let's just say she was really forward with her boundaries, right? Like
Yeah,
I would say yeah, 100% she needs to be a bit more vocal with what her boundaries. But like the feeling I got watching that conversation is that she's not really happy with the action, but like there are certain things that he can like support her with, which will make her okay with making that compromise, right? So when I say he's making a big ask, he's making an ask that's within her soft boundaries, right?
yep.
Which means he's already pushing into one of her boundaries, which means he needs to kind of give on maybe some of his boundaries that she's asking for as well, because that makes it an equal decision,
As
right? So
long
when
as it doesn't violate one of his boundaries, absolutely.
well, no. Depending on what kind of boundary, right? Like
I'm
if
saying that this one's the hard wall for him. He's pushing into a soft one, and she's
Mhm.
telling him he has to. She needs to break
Yeah,
through the
and
hard wall, and he's saying no.
yes, and I would say if I were to like if my read is correct, she should have probably said no, I don't want to do it.
Sure, if your read is correct, then she should have,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
then I would say that it's she made an error that would hurt both of them.
mhm. But like so because if you say he's not willing to like help her out with like the decision making and like kind of essentially babysit her emotions, right? Because like when he's making a hard ask that's within her soft boundary, she gets like that makes her a little bit more emotional, right? So
It seemed like
she's
that was the case, yes.
essentially she's asking him, if you want to do this thing that's going to make me emotional, you need to help me out with my emotions that come from this. And he's saying no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, but what I think he's really saying is I can't do that.
Mm,
You need to be in
I
your
mean,
feelings without my intervention, because otherwise I can't really know if you're consenting. If I put my emotional intent into this at all, it's going to pollute it, and now neither of us are going to know how you actually feel. That's how
well,
much I'm
like
respecting your boundary.
uh, mm, that's kind of a really
It's
for lack
nuanced.
of for lack no for lack of a better term, autistic way of looking at things, right?
I think
Because there are a lot of things that people would consent to if given concessions, right? Would you agree?
sure, but you're
Like
wanting to trade the hard wall
I
for the
don't want to
soft wall.
give like I don't want to give my landlord free money, and my landlord doesn't want to give me free housing. But given I give the money for housing, now we've come to an agreement, right?
That's not what's happening here, though. It'd be like if your landlord was like, you're like, hey, I want to rent this house. And he's like, bet. He's like, well, I don't know. You got to fill out this application first. I got to make sure that, like, I know what's up.
Mhm.
So this would be the more appropriate metaphor. He's like, okay, here's the paperwork. He's like, all right. Kind of eyes you up, like, all right. Well, rent better be there on time. And you're like, okay, it will be. Uh, when do I, so like, you're going to tell me when I'm going to pay you rent, right? And they're like, no, let's talk about it. Like, no, no, no. You're the landlord. I don't want to have any part of this. You get to decide when I give you the money, and I'm not going to be a part of that. Like, if it's the first of the month, then it's the first of the month. If it's on the 23rd, that's on you. You're the landlord. It's your property. I don't want to be a part of this decision. That's
I
the analogous.
I mean no, it's really not,
Well, it's like
right?
point by point. Like, it's not like that. It's not like they're deciding if you get the house or not.
No. The reason it like so maybe you're misunderstanding what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is the date is not important. That
Correct.
it doesn't matter at all. Like that's not what she's upset at. What she's upset at is he's disengaging with trying to help her out with her emotions because of his ask, right? That's the point. Like it could have been for anything, right? Like it could be like, hey, like when you do this, like I because like the ask was, would you say the ask would not be emotional for the person being asked it of?
Uh, I think for most people, I think, well, what we really care about, I think it was for Shaylin. So I'll give you that.
I think for most people, like, hey, I don't want to view you as a person. I don't want to have your sexual needs in mind when I'm fucking you.
Okay, you say
So,
that, but I definitely know people that wouldn't love that. That wouldn't be an ask.
mhm,
It would be like an, oh my god, I can't believe you asked. So, but
mhm,
what we really
yeah.
care about in the situation we're talking about is it uh is it a big ask for Shaylin? And it seemed like it was.
Yes.
That's what really matters.
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't understand why you think it's like when you say it's like an autistic way to approach it. If you're saying that, like, the only way I can accept that is if you're saying like I am being so autistically careful of the other person's ability to be influenced by me due to this codependence that I cannot. There's going to be a line where I go, okay, I can't influence how you feel about this. I've told you what I want. You told me what you're comfortable with. And
Hmm.
if you're feeling emotional about this, you have to deal with your emotions here because um, if I help you deal with them and then you're cool with this, then I don't really know how much of that is what you actually feel. Uh,
Well,
that's
yeah,
scary.
but
That do you
like
think that's reasonable to be afraid of
no, no,
happening?
no, no. What he's essentially saying is, if a land like if I want to rent a place from a landlord, right? And I'm like, hey, I want to rent a place from you, but I don't want to pay you any money because I don't know if like the only reason that you want to rent me the money or rent me the house is because I gave you money. Of course, it's because you're giving him money that he's renting the house, right? Like that's why it's a big ask, right? Otherwise, it would be like they didn't have this conversation like when switching from like missionary to doggy style, right?
Right. I
Like
agreed. I've always agreed that it's a big
yeah,
ask.
he understood it's a big ask. And
Yep.
so to walk with her emotionally, right? Like that's part of the payment to like let's just say they weren't in a relationship. Would like he expect that he could just like take her and fuck her? No, because the relationship is why he's allowed to have sex with her, right?
Right. Yeah.
So is he raping her because she's only allowing him to have sex because they're in a relationship?
Uh. Well, I would
That's
say
what I mean by autistic.
okay. No, I don't think this. Wait. Just engage with what I'm saying because I think that this is
Yeah.
these metaphors are. I don't think they're going to do this situation justice because of the level of nuance involved here, and the elements are pretty unique when we're talking about how we're respecting other people's emotions and boundaries.
Hmm.
So if we could try to avoid metaphors, I think that might really help us out here because I just keep on thinking all these metaphors are disanalogous. Um,
Okay.
I think that if I was in that situation,
Hmm.
um, and I was at an impasse where I thought that if I said anything about how I actually felt, so if I have the choice between either lying
Hmm.
or being inherently coercive by sharing how I actually feel, if we're going to have an engagement at a certain point, I have to
Hmm.
go. Either we don't do this, like I can't do that. So if you can't handle making this decision on your own, I have to just say like the thing that I asked for isn't something I'm asking for anymore. I have to withdraw that. We can't do it because I will not feel
Yeah.
okay with it.
I would say like if I were in
Why is that
Mr.
wrong?
Girl's position, no, if I was in Mr. Girl's position and had that conversation, I couldn't go through with it because whatever she says after that is gonna still make me think that I'm raping her.
Okay, but we don't know what was said between that and when they had sex either. And I guess for me, there's one piece of information that matters more than anything else that happens in that conversation. And when I figure out was this good or was this bad? Did something terrible happen or was this fine?
Hmm.
If she makes a statement about it after she's no longer in that situation, I'm going to have to take her word. I believe her. If she says anything other than like it's fine, but instead she said she found it insulting that people thought that she couldn't have that agency. That she could. She made that decision, and it was what she wanted to do. Like she figured out what she wanted to do, and that's what she wanted to do. Like, okay, I believe you. I'm not going to go, actually, no, you are not able to decide that that's what you wanted to do. I know better than you. I'm going to call you a liar or suggest that you're lying.
Well,
This is
to
wrong
be
to me.
fair, she
And we have that
also
information.
like during some of those situations, um, she does make some claims that she later on gets upset about people for repeating. So you know,
Sure.
I don't really know how
But,
much I would.
uh, wait, she gets upset at people for repeating? What? What do you mean?
Like when she's upset and she's like upset at him and she's saying like you're doing blah 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 stuff. I forget which one. But like she also gets upset when people repeat those claims. It's been like well half a year since how
Oh.
long ago was that whole shit? When did that come
Uh,
out?
I'm not sure. I'm really
It's like
bad. Like
ages
COVID has
ago. It's
ruined
been
my
so
ability to
long.
determine how long ago
Like
things are.
I don't remember like yeah, but yeah, I don't like I mean, at the end of the day, she can do whatever the fuck she wants to do, and if she's being hurt by it, but she wants to do it, like, I honestly, I don't really care.
Yeah, whenever I've made any
Um,
claims about this is always I've
mm,
always also had the knowledge that she said it was chill. Um,
yeah, but like at that point, he could be like actually being super abusive, and she can say it's chill, and
yeah,
like,
but now we're having to take
what
even
what
more
what can you do?
jumps. But yeah, but we're having to take even more jumps from this uh to like get to there. So what I'm saying is like the way
Mhm.
we'd normally reasonably approach this is we can go through these things, and in order for what for the thing to be bad, we have to go based on your interpretation of these events. Or
Mhm.
my interpretation of these
Yeah.
events. And now, okay, so we both have, I think, have made points to them that we both feel are strong enough to say that this is the thing that probably happened. Of course, I can't know. The other person could be right. So now we are sort of
Mhm.
at an impasse. And then we also have, right after this instance happened, her saying, not only did I make that decision, like everything was fine there, but I think that it's wrong of you guys to even suggest that I couldn't do it. I'm gonna have to go like, okay, well, I think that how I feel about what might have been happening there and what he felt about what might have been happening there is totally trumped by what she has informed me herself. Or like when she tells us publicly of what actually happened there. Now, she could be lying. She could be being super
Mhm.
heavily manipulated by him to only say what he wants her to say and all that. However, there's a lot of jumps that I have to make to get to there, and I'm not
Yeah.
willing
So
to
so
make
we
those jumps.
like
I'm gonna
we
go with okay, I believe her.
yeah, and I think that's fine, but I also think that's a little bit like personally I think it's a little bit silly, but like that's just me, right? Like because like you can have like partners in abusive relationships
Yeah,
will
but you're
like
making that
defend
assumption that
the
it is.
sure so because like I see something right and
Yeah,
so like and then like people who are in like who are the people in abusive relationships like arguing against most of the time.
their abuser.
No, they're arguing against people telling them that they're in an abusive relationship.
Well, sure, but I guess everything that you're saying would still apply even if I'm right then. Like it will still the
Sure,
same
yeah.
actions will happen. So I
Mhm.
don't have any so when there is abuse, we would look for other things then to happen that correlate this, and I haven't seen anything that I think constitutes abuse. And Mr. Girl has stated
Yeah,
several times
which
that
is
he's not going to show
fine.
the nicer parts because one, he doesn't want to. It destroys the thing that he's trying to demonstrate. If he says in the video like, and then afterwards, like
Wait,
this
wait,
and this
wait,
and this
wait.
that makes it better. Because he doesn't want to. It destroys the thing that you just seen. Like when he talked about hitting his wife before.
Mhm.
Um, it got to the point where it got like really heavy into the weeds, and he's like, "Okay, when I say that I hit her, this is how it was," and it was like, it was pretty innocuous. And people are like, "Well, why the fuck didn't you just say that?" Because it doesn't matter how hard I hit her. It's still
Okay,
bad that it happened.
I have a
And I'm
question
not
then.
trying to hide behind that part of it. I don't want people to think that it's less when they're considering what's being presented. What's being
I have a
presented
question.
and being shown is to make you examine these things. Go ahead.
What do you think Mr. Girl said when he said Shaylin's really good at making out to the audience that she's the victim?
I think that what he's saying is that she likes to do certain things that will that when there's a tense situation between the two of them, she wants the audience to favor her. That she has a desire to look good on camera, even at the expense of him, and she will take actions that lead to that.
But she's super cool with everything happening.
Okay, I think both of those things can be true. Are those two things impossible to be true? So, okay,
Well,
so here's the thing.
like,
If you're
mhm.
saying that all that mattered in determining whether or not they had that kind of sex was the conversation that they had on there, and they had no other conversations along the way prior to it happening, then there might be a bigger problem here. But we have no way of knowing that that's what happened.
Yeah, we don't even know if they like. I'm not making any claims,
Yeah.
right? Like,
So
what I'm pushing back on, right, is
yeah,
like I see something happening that makes me kind of be like, hold on, right? And
yeah.
so I'm like, okay, like, do, do, do you think I made a claim that Mr. Girl was an abuser?
When
Have I made
when
that claim?
so to me it feels like it because when I say that these are the things that I see that
Hmm?
would disqualify this idea from being like this is the thing that we have to think. You go no. Those things don't matter. So all the things that I have in favor of
Hmm?
him not being abusive in this situation, you're telling me that like
Yeah.
I'm being autistic, or that's like way too far of a stretch, or you've seen something that just convinced you that there's no way this could be the case. What I'm
Well, no,
going
no,
on
no.
is information
What
bad.
I'm pushing back on is when you make a claim that because of this was actually really good. Everything was a-okay, right?
Yeah, I think that the
Like,
way
and
those
I'm like,
boundaries are
I
handled
I
are
think
really
both
good and
both sides
healthy.
are being problematic. That's my
So
point.
so the thing that I critique him about, I say the biggest crime that he had in that is that at parts he was he was an asshole, and I think you can be an asshole. I
Well,
think it's
like,
better
but
if you're
that was
not.
just his boundary, right? Like,
I think
if
that, yeah, the way
like
that
he
he
didn't want to
responded
care
to
about
it,
her feelings at the point.
I
So
I
at
think
that
he could have
like,
done it in a more like in a less assholey way. But being an asshole doesn't change whether this was good or bad. I think some of the things he
yeah.
said were
So
mean,
so
and he didn't have to
mhm.
say them. I think some of the things she said were kind of mean, and she didn't have to say them too. I think that both of
Yeah.
them had some real human emotions
So
come up.
like my point is that when you are making a big ask that you know is gonna get the other person pretty emotional, right? Like, you don't need to make decisions for them, but you need to be with them emotionally, right? Like, if they're being emotional, you kind of need to be there with them. Like, you don't have to like
I think you
you
can
don't
draw a
have.
line where you're saying I can't after at this point. You have just as much right to say like I can do this up to this point. In which case, like if I don't feel okay with it, I have to say that I can't. That's my responsibility. My responsibility is
Mm,
to, despite the fact that it might make the other person uncomfortable, despite the fact that it might make me look bad, I have to say, um, uh, I know that when I ask this, I can go so far with you, but after a certain point, I have to put it on you because this will cross my boundary. It's still okay for me to ask this, though.
at that point, I think it should be very, very clear from the beginning, not like after all the emotional turmoil, but like when you
Maybe.
make the ask, make it clear that they can say no with no repercussions.
uh, well, but you'd be lying. What does no repercussions even mean? Like you'd be lying.
Like, well, not no repercussions, but like, hey,
Yeah.
look, I want to do this, and I'm like, you're free to say no. I might be upset about it for a while, but I'll be okay, right?
Okay. So then that means that when they go into this conversation, I'm operating under the assumption that their relationship has given them the framework to understand that he's not going to do something terrible to her for saying no. And you're going into this with the understanding that their relationship is structured to where if he asks her something that's a big deal and she says no, it's gonna be totally fucked for her. Like he's gonna punish her for it. And I think that Um, I haven't seen any evidence to suggest that it would be the other way, and I think that most relationships, if you're willing to grant a relationship the benefit of the doubt that like this isn't like already abusive, that's going to be implicitly the case. This isn't like they're not like a new couple; they've been dating for several years.
Hmm.
There's something tied into there's something like baked into having a relationship that long that you can ask things and like you don't need to be told I'm not going to fucking dump you if you say no to me. Is it better with those reassurances? Sometimes some people might get super offended that you offer that. Um, it could even be interpreted
I
as
think someone
the
getting
other way.
over being codependent would appreciate that, no?
Maybe. But people's
I guess she never asked for it, so, or that we know of, so
well, I'm just saying like
who
it
knows?
could be
She
like
might not need it. She might actually hate it.
if you're it is entirely possible she might have a similar response that she did to everybody else and saying like I think it's fucked up that you think that I don't have this agency. If he says that, like she might have the response of like I can't believe that you think that I don't have the ability, like that I don't understand that if I say no that you're not gonna fucking leave me. Like how stupid do you think I am, or like how little do I think, like do you really think that I think you value the relationship this little? There's a lot of things that go into this that we just don't know, that we have to make certain leaps for. And when we look at what happened afterwards, I don't see any evidence to suggest that it's the bad way either. Like, could things have been nicer and prettier and less
Mhm.
sloppy? Sure. If I was in that situation, would I behave exactly that way? No. I don't have the boundary of not being able to talk about the date. That if I think that me doing it is what would he would think in that situation, that'd be really tough for me. I would probably say like I
Yeah,
think we
I
need to
I think
revisit this conversation. But I think that nothing there happened that was explicitly bad. And I think in order to say that there was abuse there, you have to have something pretty concrete. I think that the level of nuance that
mhm.
during it, and then what we understand after the fact, combines to saying like, I have no reason to think that there was abuse here.
Sure, like conclusively, absolutely not, right?
Yeah, and
Like
like you said, all the pieces are okay. When you put them together, it's worth examining. It's worth having
mhm. Yeah,
two and a
worth
half,
having a
3 weeks of
conversation on. Yes.
conversation in Twitch poll. Yeah, I think it's super interesting. I think there's a lot of pieces that move around that raise a lot of interesting questions,
Yeah.
and that if like small elements have changed, it could change everything.
Yeah, so this is why I would agree if you were to say he's got a point when he's saying certain things, but like I do kind of like it's a little bit like to me when you're like he went about this perfectly.
I think
Does that make sense?
within everything that I sure, but I understand that I have a lot more context. I have a lot more it is generally understood too that I have a better understanding of Mr. Girl's interactions than other people do. This has been granted to me by people that heavily oppose me in the things that I talk about with Mr. Girl, like the things that like he does that I think are good, they think are bad, but they still come to me and have told me like even the people that are like super like have gotten like really mad at me and stuff. The reason why they're
Hmm.
talking to me and not somebody else is because I have a good grip on this. I have a
Sure.
really good understanding of. I would say when there's a lot of times where 9 people are saying that Mr. Girl is saying something, and like I strongly disagree. Like, no, that's not what's actually being said here. And then it's been shown that I was right, which is why I think I have a certain degree of like respect when it comes to the subjects about him. And the
Hmm.
only reason I think I have that is because I communicate very similarly in real life. So things that when people misunderstand me and I have conflict with people, there's a very similar kinds of miscommunications happening there. And now I'm not saying that makes me right. I'm saying that these are the things like
Hmm.
if we agree that I at least have a I don't even want to see like unique or anything, but like I have a pretty good handle on what's going on. Uh,
Hmm.
and I'm
In his head, yeah, for sure.
yeah. So I don't know how to make
Like
that not inform me about these things either.
yeah, but like so here's kind of like where I'm like get a little bit not weirded out, but like I kind of start pumping the brakes, right? Because like
Yeah.
in a video with two people, there are three points of view.
Sure. Each other's in the audience.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so from his point of view, I would 100% agree with you, right?
Yeah.
Like and from her point of view, like maybe she is like actually completely fine and just him not deciding a day triggered her or something, I don't know. But like it to the third person, like me, the viewer,
Yeah.
I felt right like a certain way about it, right? So
And you're supposed to.
that's why I'm not making any hard judgments
Hmm.
on either of them, right?
Yeah.
Like would you agree or that
Um.
I have not made a hard judgment?
I think the only hard judgments that you've
I'm
made
put
is
no,
on my decision making process, not
yeah,
necessarily
I'm
on them.
pushing back on your hard
Yeah.
decisions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm like I don't know about this one, Chief, right? Like
Sure.
not in a demeaning way, like but like just like I don't know about this one. Like
I guess
I
let me
don't
put it
really
this way:
agree with your assessment
if I was Shaylin in
on
that
the situation.
situation,
Hmm.
I understand that I might feel really rough in the moment, but I'd be really grateful that that it went that way. I would be really happy, like not grateful to the other person, just like grateful in general. I'd be really happy that that's how it went because I think that that's how I would want it to be. I don't. If I found out later that the other person violated their boundary to get me through the part where I was having a hard time, and like I would appreciate, like if they did do it, there's a part of me that appreciates the help that I got when I really
Yeah,
wanted
but
it. But then if I found out that they
mm,
violated a boundary of theirs and they put themselves in a situation where they're that level of uncomfortable to do so, that totally negates it. And now like I'm gonna feel fucked for expressing how strongly I felt about it. That's genuinely
yeah,
how I would feel.
like I do understand that like you can go through something really rough and come out the other end like really happy and grateful that that happened, but that covers a whole lot of fucked shit, right?
Wait,
Like
wait, 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 wait.
pe-
I think maybe you're misunderstanding. The thing that makes it bad for me is that finding out that they violated their boundary to take care of me. Like
no,
I
no,
I
no, no.
pressed
What
them
like
because of the
I no,
situation
no.
that I was
I'm
in.
talking about when you were talking about Shaylin maybe being feeling rough in the moment, but later on, being grateful because she was taught an
Well,
important
seeing if
lesson
I
on life or
was, I
something
don't know
like
if
that.
that's how she feels or not, but I'm saying
No,
that
no, but like I'm saying that like that kind of mentality
mhm,
justifies a lot of fucked up behavior, right?
it it can't
Like you could like someone could literally be raped, but like they come out and they become
okay,
like a
sure.
an
I'm
anti-rape
talking about
activist and all that stuff, and like they like the way that their life turned out really helped a lot of women, so
okay, wait, wait.
therefore
I'm
like
I'm talking about
they'll
how
be
this
really
applies to this
grateful that
situation. The
yeah.
the situation is that I'm feeling emotionally rough and
Hmm.
and just because I am, I that doesn't mean I use it as a justification for somebody else to tear down a boundary that they like by all rights are just like dead set on not tearing down. If my emotional state caused them to remove that instead of like talking through the boundary and negotiating it through like you're supposed to, I am going to feel terrible. I'm going to go, oh my god, this person is so sensitive to my emotional states that I can't be fully emotional around them without worrying now that they're going to like really hurt themselves in response to it.
Well, like the negotiation part, that's the thing that she was okay with until it stopped happening, right? Like when like while he was
Yeah,
going with
the
her on the
when the
journey, she was being
negotiation
fine.
stopping is bad is when the other person says that they're going to decide the outcome for you, not letting you decide the outcome. That's when it's like it's not like that's manipulative if somebody says the negotiation's ending, I'm deciding. What he did is
But no,
the negotiations are over, you get to decide this part. You have full control over this. That doesn't feel bad to me.
no, 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 no. What I'm saying is that like even if he's letting her make all the final decisions, he can go down with her and discuss things with her, and it feels to her
Wait,
like
no, he
he's
can't.
walking.
He literally can't. That is a hard boundary that he has that he cannot do. He can't do that. You're saying that he can take down the hard wall here, and I'm saying like, what makes you think that he can?
No, 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 but like that's what I'm saying. That's where the rough part came in, right? Because like when he made the big ask, then she's not like yes, 100%, let's do it,
Okay,
right?
well, I
Like
was
she's
responding
kind
to
of
you saying
hesitant.
he can just do this, right? And then
Wait,
you're
no, no,
trying to
no,
move
no, no, no.
on,
Hold on,
and
hold
I'm
on,
saying he
hold on,
can't do
hold on,
that.
hold on.
Okay,
All the way up until which day he was doing that with her.
correct. And
That's
then they
what I'm
ran into his
saying.
boundary. So they ran into
Wait,
something that he is
wait,
strictly
which
not
one?
okay doing. He's not comfortable deciding the dates here. Uh, the decision making about it has gone to the point to where now he feels like it's not really about any of the things that they're talking about. Now he feels like they're talking about this just so that like she has this like she's doing it to be controlling, and he doesn't want to do that. He can't contribute to it, so he says, "I'm done here." Um, and he's
And
not
that's
saying it
when
has to
shit
happen.
things
Yeah,
went to
yeah,
shit, right?
yeah.
Because
It's bad if it's
it felt to her like he was like stopped walking down that road with her, right?
uh, sure, that's a possibility. I'm not going to say for sure how I know she felt,
Like
but
that's
if I
that's how it
grant it to
feels to
you,
me. Because like
sure, but
she
that
was
doesn't
willing
mean
to
he gets to
do
just
things.
violate his boundary because of that, though. He has no more obligation than her to
Okay,
violate a
yeah.
boundary then. Which is like every scenario which you're suggesting would have been the right thing to do. He has to violate his boundary, and I'm saying I
Well,
value his
no,
too.
no, no, no. One is to completely rescind his ask.
Well,
Then he doesn't have to violate his boundary. She doesn't have to violate her boundary.
completely rescinding the ask.
Hmm.
Uh,
That
that's
would
that's what the
violate no
boundary.
one's
That's
boundary.
what the boundary is. They're saying if this isn't if you can't do this, then we're not doing this. That is rescinding the ask. Yeah,
Wait, no, no, but like,
he's not allowed to
he-
he's not allowed to voice what the boundary is, or it's like
no,
manipulative.
he should rescind the ask. He was not rescinding the ask. He was making her make the decision, yes or no. That's not rescinding an
No,
ask.
no, he was telling her
He's
to make
still
the
asking.
decision uh
Yeah, no, but he's
of
not. He's
what date
still
it is.
asking. He's still asking, right? He's not rescinding an ask.
Okay. I don't think that he has to say we're not going to talk about this anymore. He can say that you have to I have to not be a part of this or we don't talk about it anymore, which is what he's doing anyways. He's just like explaining why. If she can
Mhm.
test anything and he just goes, "Okay, I don't want it," and walks away, I feel like that's more manipulative. She doesn't get to know what's happening. She's just like, "Oh, what the fuck did I do?" Like that I think that's way worse. That's going to lead people like, "All right, I'm sorry, fine. We can just do whatever you want." If they're codependent, like they just don't really have any information. All they know is that like they've pissed them off and now it's bad for them. So they should just say like, "I'm sorry. We can just it's just cool."
You know you can rescind and ask and explain why, right? Like if he's like I'm not comfortable
So you don't like the order that
making
he said, I rescind the ask if you can't do this. So her having the information up front as to why it would be rescinded is bad.
no, because when he's like so when he's saying you make like essentially he's saying you make the decision whether we're doing this or not. He's not rescinding an ask,
No,
right?
wait. No, as far as at this point in the conversation, it had
Hmm.
already been established that they are doing it and how often they are doing it.
Hmm.
The only thing left to decide is when do they start. And I've already made the argument that if he is part of that decision, then it's very likely,
Hmm.
and even if it's not the case, it can be assumed that she understands that there's a strong possibility that he wants it to start today. Because she even put that as an option. She's like, "Are we starting today and then doing it on the 23rd of every month, or are we starting at the first of the month?" Because the fact that it could be that day. Now, I think that it would be wrong for him to ask for it to be that day because of everything they just talked about. Things are too tense to decide to have it happen
Hmm.
that day. We need a little bit of space. We need a little bit of air. However, if she's like, "I want to do it starting today," that's fine. But that has to be totally on her. He can't be
Yes,
a part
but
of that.
he can still be part of the discussion and like emotionally supporting that, right? Like to me, right?
Wait,
The kind of
wait, there was
wait,
there was
wait,
no
wait, wait,
process
hold on, hold on, hold on,
happening
hold on,
for
hold on,
him to
hold
do
on,
that
hold on.
to. He drew the boundary and then she rejected it.
Okay, so do you think that she was okay with the ask as long as he was walking on that path with her, and once he decided to like basically abandon her on that path, then she felt like maybe I didn't want to do this, and
Uh,
start like everything went to shit.
I think these two things happened at the same time, but but
Well, no,
like
no, one
you're
happened because of the other.
wait, yeah, wait, that's what I'm trying to explain.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that there are alternative explanations as to what could have caused it at that point. I don't think that it's a certainty that she thought like, well, we were walking on this path together and we made all these decisions together. These decisions that I think everybody agrees have to be made together. I don't think that the date of when it starts has to be made together. The other ones are obligatory. Are we going to do it, and how much are we going to do it? Both people must agree to that in any
Mhm.
situation. This
Yeah.
is required. The other one, there are arguments to be made as to why only she should be a part of that. Unless you can invalidate that, what I'm saying is that if I'm a part of that, if I'm him and I'm a part of that, I now can influence it to be the same day or the next day or whatever. And like if I want it today, now I'm in a position where I either have to lie when I'm a part of it. Say like, well, what day do you want it to start? I don't want to lie to my partner ever. I don't lie to my wife.
Mhm.
I don't lie to
Yeah.
my girlfriend. There's only a couple.
Mhm.
There's a small handful of situations we're in where I think it's okay to lie. That's like to your boss and to your parents. Somebody has to have that like that over you, like
Nazis.
take away your money or take or like literally control every aspect of your life like your parent does. Otherwise, I don't believe in lying. So for me, I would have to not be a part of it because in order to not lie, I'd have to say today. I want as soon as we're done talking, I want to fuck you like a sex doll. And I don't think that would be
Mhm.
right. I don't think that would be right. If that's what she wants, if that's how she wants this to go down, cool. But because of the codependency, I can't say that. Because like, what if she said yes just because I said that that was today? I'll feel like
Well,
I'm
like if
coercing
you're
now.
if you're
I don't want
willing
that.
to like if you're willing to be like empathetic and stuff, right? Like I think you can easily figure out when someone's like pushing themselves a lot harder
Even
in
somebody
order to
who's
say,
so codependent that they just want to say yeah to you, like I don't know, man. That gets, I I don't know
well,
how you
okay,
can't
wait,
agree
wait,
that
wait, wait, wait,
this makes
wait, wait,
it
wait.
sticky. This thing
No,
gets
no,
really really
hold on,
sticky, and you
hold
can
on,
remove the
hold on.
risks by removing yourself from that.
No, no, hold on. If you think that she was at like that far into codependency,
That's what you
then
operated
you
on.
could no, that's not.
Okay.
Like okay,
I'm trying to
when
square this with your
do
previous
you
codependent
okay,
argument.
do you remember the story I told you
Which
about
one?
the girl who cheated on me?
Yep.
Do you think she was or wasn't codependent?
She probably was. It could have simply been guilt, too.
Oh, well, okay, so she was pretty codependent.
Okay. Um,
Does that mean that I couldn't tell how she felt about things?
no, the fact that you're not her means you can't tell. You can imagine what maybe she might have felt. That's what empathy is. It's when you imagine how somebody else feels about something.
Okay, fair enough.
Because we're not psychic. So I think that when the stakes are really high, you have to have a certain degree of stepping back and not like I don't know how to follow this ethically. Like even can you
But no,
explain? Wait,
so
wait, hang on.
okay. Mhm.
I'm in the
Yep, yep,
situation.
mhm,
Tell me
yep.
how I can do this without violating any of my morals. Um, I can't lie.
Well, if your morals is I can't talk about it, then you can't, right?
Wait. Well, yeah, that's what he's saying. He can't. He can't be a part of that conversation. So how does he
Then
navigate?
there's no I guess there's no ethical way
But
for him to make that ask.
well, you don't think it's ethical for him to say, we got to this point. He could not have known that this was going to end up here. The
Yeah, so he
conversation
should
led here.
rescind it.
So you don't think it's okay to say, well, then that means she doesn't have any agency. When he says, okay, well, then we're sending it means we're not going to do this now,
No,
right?
okay, so here's the thing that I don't really understand or I can't really square away is that when you say that she is making decisions and if she's making decisions alongside me, I don't know if I'm raping her. But that is also taking
Well,
agency away from her. But that
I'm
taking
saying
away
that there is
agency
a
from her
point
is
at which
okay.
this can be the case. And at this
Hmm?
point, I can see a reasonable explanation where if I, she says, when's the date and stuff? Or
Hmm?
what date are we starting on?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me where you lose me here. Say, okay, so I
Because
need to do this without violating my morals here. She says, well, when are
yes.
we starting? And I go, okay. I want it today. I don't think it's ethical for me to say today. Do you agree?
No, I don't agree.
You think it would be okay after that for him to say, I want it today?
I think it would be unethical for him to demand that it be that day.
Oh, no,
It should
even
be. It
just
should be. It should be
suggest it.
discussed.
Okay, I think that if there's if there's a level of codependence, if there's
Mhm.
any cause of concern, as you've claimed, if it
Yes.
meets the standard of being a cause for concern at all, you can't say
Mhm.
today. She needs time to think about the conversation that had been had, and it
Mhm.
shouldn't be something that is acted upon immediately
Yeah,
after the conversation.
that would never be my first suggestion.
Well, I would say it's off the table if there's a level of
Okay, sure.
codependence where
Okay, that's
it
fair.
can be an
That's
issue.
fair.
Okay, so which means I cannot suggest today.
Mhm.
And I would also say that it's unethical for me to be a part of this conversation if I must lie. So there are now two options. One of those options is I can say that you can pick the day or we can't do this. Because I think it's wrong for me to say that since I don't actually have a problem with us going through with this, but in order for us to do that, you have to be okay with picking when it is.
Yes. Okay. So
So it's
here's
okay for me to inform you that that would be the line.
here's my question, right?
Yeah.
If you think someone's being codependent, right? Do you think
To the level of
you're
it being
do
potentially being
you
an
think
issue.
you're worried that their decision would be made based on you and that they're going to actually do something that they don't want to do to please you would be higher or lower when they make the decision when you're not around?
Well, it depends on the level of codependency, which I think is apparent. That's why I asked when you said it. Is it to where we're talking about a level of codependency where we think it could cause a problem here?
Well, like
Well,
I think that if you're there, you are actually like socially aware, you can kind of figure out how much she's making the decision based on what you think she thinks you want
I think
versus
I think that's
doing
wrong.
something. Okay, fair enough.
I don't believe in determining somebody else's state of mind. I believe in checking in with people. I believe in so like my feelings about how somebody else has
Wait,
internal
hold on.
experience, I
Stop,
can
stop, stop, stop,
check
stop, stop,
if I
stop,
need
stop,
to.
stop, stop, stop.
What?
Then why would you even care if she might be doing something against her will if she said she wants to? Because like you don't have if she decided to do it, then you don't have any fear of you raping her at that point, right? Because you the fear that you might be raping her is you are projecting onto her what you think she is thinking. So if you're not thinking about that, then if she made the decision yes, then that wouldn't be a concern to you.
Wait, we've said that. All right, I guess I don't know which version of her we're operating under here then, because I've heard the
Any
version of her.
version.
What?
Like if you're cutting yourself out of her decision making, then it doesn't really matter, right? If you're gonna be like, I'm not gonna be part of this decision making, and I'm only going to be going off of what she decided and what she says
After
later.
she makes a
Then it
decision, I think it's okay to like checkpoint, check in, but the initial decision has to be hers. I need to know that her evaluating this needs to be
Mhm.
untainted. It can come to a point where I think that her evaluation needs to be devoid of my influence. Uh, and this tipping point can happen at different spots for different people.
Yes, but my point is that when you're not there, then their imagination can run wild of what they think you want.
Sure, if they
So
need
they
to
might
add,
be fucking themselves way harder, right? Because you're not part of the
sure,
conversation.
and if that's where
You
they're
might be
at,
even more raping her
wait,
because
and
you're
if
not part of
that's
the
where they're
conversation.
at, and they come up with that on
Mhm.
their own, then they need to say, I can't make this decision. So we can't.
But now
Do
you're
this.
operating under the assumption that they are also going to be acting perfectly, right?
Well, this is literally what we're talking about: is how they didn't
Mhm.
act perfectly. You're saying they didn't act perfectly, and I wanted them to act this way. So I'm giving you the way that I want them to act in this scenario. We're
Okay,
both
okay,
doing that.
sure. Yeah, but like, do you think at that point she would have done that? I don't think she would have.
I don't know.
Although I don't know,
I
you're the
can't
expert,
know.
so you
I
can
can't know what she would
tell me.
do, but what I know is that she is the only one that can
Mhm,
gets to decide that. I don't get to decide that for her. Mr. Girl doesn't get to
mhm,
decide that for
sure.
her. She is a human being who is capable of making choices. I don't think she's a retarded baby, so she gets
Mhm.
to make that decision. And the best way for her to make that decision, to her actually making it, is to not influence it at that point. I think that
Wait, do you think considering someone's feelings and acting accordingly is wrong?
no, I think that's what happened. What somebody wants and what is going to follow through in accordance with their feelings, what they're telling you they want, and what you think is going to follow in accordance with their feelings in order to protect them the best, may not always be the same thing.
Mhm.
If somebody could ask you for something like, no, I need you to do this, and you could have a full understanding that what they're asking of you is for you to do something that will be inherently emotionally manipulative. And you have to say no to that because they don't fully understand the ramifications of what they're asking there. If that's how you feel, then it's your obligation to say no. A lot of these things are going to be based on how the person in their respective positions feels about the action that's being asked about them. Because what makes it wrong is how they're going to perceive it. If I perceive it in a way that means that I'm going to influence you in a way that's going to like be coercive, then I have to say no, even if it's not the case. My
Mhm.
feeling about that decides whether it's right or wrong. I guess for me, whether something's right or wrong is determined about how the person doing it uh, feels about it. You can say like because that's like when we're examining a situation like that, that's what matters because there's only two people involved here.
But
Um,
like we don't know any of that, right?
Correct, which means, but what I do know is that somebody said I'm not comfortable doing something. That's pretty easy for me to believe because that's the less
Mhm.
comfortable
Yeah.
thing to say. This is going to be the thing that's going to cause more issues for you getting what you want. So I have every reason to believe you when you say I'm not comfortable doing this thing, right? It would be very
Yeah,
weird
so
for you to
so
make the
I
situation more difficult for yourself. Like if he ran through all that with her on the dates and all that, that would have been so much easier for him. He would have got the thing he's asking for with less turmoil, which leads me to believe, unless there's some other explanation for this, that he really felt strongly that it wasn't okay for him to be a part of that conversation there at that point. Otherwise, he would just easy money, right? You just go, okay,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, but like
just
all
tap
these
tap tap
things
tap tap
are
tap.
conflict. Like again, when we look at each individual action, they make sense. But like when we put it all together, they conflict with each other, right?
No, I think you can feel differently about different parts of the conversation. I think that your boundary can be not engaged until you get to a certain point. Then now circumstances have, yeah, when all these things get put together, as you move through it, the circumstances are going to build to a point to where now my boundary has been crossed. Like I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, but when you have me do this, and this together, now I feel uncomfortable at this point, and I can only do a certain amount of actions now because when you put all these things together, it changes the situation for me. Now we're at the end and they have been put together. I can't be a part of this part of it. So I
Mm-hmm.
agree with your framing
Uh,
that it changes it, and but
yeah.
how
So
the individuals feel are still valid.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Feelings are valid, 100%, right? So like this is, I guess, what a lot of people and I guess I have issues with uh like so when a lot of people say feelings are valid, they like they mean very different things than Mr. Girl says. So like when Mr. Girl says your feelings are
Hey,
valid
lady,
means you have those feelings are natural.
one
But
minute.
when other people hear it, they think your feeling is justified and the other person did a wrong for making you feel that way, which is not the case when Mr. Girl says it, correct?
Um, I might need you to run that down with me for once again, but give me like. Oh wait, yeah, you can't hear me. Sorry.
Hello?
I think I
Uh,
need to have you run that down for me one more time so I can pay a little bit closer attention. I tried to ask my wife something real quick, and she didn't hear me, so I had to like pause. I apologize. I was trying to just like
oh,
sneak
no
it in.
worries.
Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna ask her, and then you'll have my full attention because that was harder to follow
All
than I
right.
thought it was gonna be.
All right.
Okay. Just on the stream. Okay. So, in fact, that was wait 1 second here. There was a lot of, like I said, that was a bit harder to follow than I thought. So I'm actually gonna maybe I'll end up taking
Well,
some notes
I
or
think
drawing
I think
this
I
out
just
so I can
used
make
maybe
sure.
too many words. The concept is pretty simple.
Oh, like I said too, like I could I thought, yeah, I you didn't have my full attention, so like even just in
Hmm.
case I can take some notes to make sure I'm following you.
Okay.
Just run it back past me however you want, but you have my full
All right.
attention.
So I think when Mr. Girl says your feelings are valid, and when other people say your feelings are valid, they mean two very different things. So when Mr. Girl says your feelings are valid, means you're feeling that way is natural and that's okay. Not necessarily okay to act on them, not necessarily uh, okay to demand the people do other things because you feel that way. But what other people think when you say feeling is valid means you feel bad. That means the other person did wrong, right?
Yeah, and I
And
agree with
that's
Mr.
not
Girl and
how
not
Mr.
other
Girl.
people.
Yes, yes, and I agree as well,
Okay.
right? So like Mr. Girl feeling like he can feel however he wants to feel. Like that is completely fine and fair, in
Yep.
my opinion. But when so essentially in the situation that they're in, he makes an ask and he's going along with her down that thing until he's not comfortable with it, right? Like I don't know how far in we want to get on
Actually, I
the
think
ins and outs.
maybe I boiled this down to one simple question here. I think
Hmm.
all this comes
Okay.
down to one simple question. Can Shaylin uh agree to this if Mr. Girl can she agree to this at all if Mr. Girl says I don't want to discuss the dates. I can discuss with you fully whether you want to do this or not. I can discuss with you how often you want to do it. But if he says no, that I don't want to discuss the day in which it starts, um, is she capable of making a decision anymore? Because that's what we're really, everything that we're going after is really asking this simple question. Does he have to talk about
I
the
I
dates for
don't
her to
I
be able to
don't
make a decision?
I'm going to say yes, but I don't think that's the case, right? Because let's just say, um, all of that happened, right? She goes crying, she goes into the room, they have a heated talk, all that stuff, um, and then she says on the 15th, and like they don't speak about it afterward. The 15th comes by. Is he going to be able to go through with it without feeling like he's raping her?
Uh, it seems to be the case, yeah.
Okay, that's where I would actually really disagree
Um,
because I would feel like I would be raping her at that point
why?
because she
She
obviously
can
has
make
a
that
negative.
decision. You said she can make that decision, though.
Yes, yes. Again, she can make that decision, but that doesn't change my feeling, right? So this is why I told you the story about the girl who
Wait.
cheated on me. I was
When I
like
when I
very
ask,
adamant that we have sex, and
yeah,
I said no because I felt like I would be violating her.
sure. So when I say can she make that decision, it sounds like you're
Mhm,
answering it as like she can form the words yes and then follow through even if they mean no. What I'm saying is can she
mhm.
make that decision? Can she make a decision to the affirmative of what he wants on her own without lying?
Yes.
Okay. And so I think that Mr. Grill can do the same thing that you could do in that situation, in that determine when that happened, uh,
Mhm.
whether or not she is being genuine. And if he thinks that she's lying, then he has an obligation to not do it. But if he thinks that she is okay with it, that she just struggled with wanting him to be a part of that part, but then
Mhm.
was able to get through it and then make that decision on her own, nothing bad has happened here. Um,
Yes. So
she
so
she
this
made
kind of
it was
goes
a little bit
back.
tougher for her because he couldn't violate his boundary. That's it. It was a rough one
Well,
as far as
no,
conversations
it
go.
it it wasn't like on. So from his perspective, that might be the case, right? But from her perspective, it's not about what his boundaries were, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not like
it's
she
always
was
about
saying,
what our own
I
boundary
will.
is. They're both on their own boundaries.
Yes. And what she needed from him to break her boundary was beyond what he was willing to give, like halfway through, right?
Well, yeah, but it seems like she was upset about her boundary being pressed. She went and dealt with those emotions, came back, and the boundary wasn't there like that. She decided, okay, uh, that
Mhm,
was rough, but you're right, I can make this decision, and I believe her. I believe that it was
mhm.
uh
So you're saying that like again,
like, do you think that
if
my
we're
train of logic is crazy here? Or is it like you think that like what I'm saying makes sense, you just disagree? Because I think
no,
that's where we're at. That's where I'm at with you. Like,
okay,
I get what you're saying, I just disagree.
uh-huh.
I think that you're being
Yeah, like I think I understand what you're saying,
okay.
and I do disagree,
Okay.
which is the conversation we're having, right?
Yeah, well, I guess what I'm saying is okay, so I think that what you're saying is coherent.
Hmm.
Assuming that I think sometimes we've switched like the levels of um codependency here and how much that matters,
Hmm.
but like I think that you didn't do it like I think that has changed during the conversation and I just wasn't really aware of when it changed, and that kind of threw me off. I don't think that's like a trick or
Oh,
anything.
sorry, sorry, sorry,
So I
sorry.
think that that had shifted around at certain points where I got a little bit confused, and I think that's probably like the biggest discrepancy that I had when I'm saying like about coherency. So I'm just gonna get rid of that without any of that stuff because I don't think
Mhm,
I think that you were following like a clear train and like they just got switched in, like we didn't talk about it really clearly, which is fine. So barring that, I think that what you're saying is coherent. And you're operating off of the information that you are supposing about them and the interaction that you saw, and I'm
mhm.
supposing about that, about how I interpreted the things that I saw too. I
Yeah,
think that you're coherent,
yeah.
and your logic is sound of where you're going from. It's just that the way that you and I are interpreting the totally subjective interpretation of their experiences are going to lead us to different logical conclusions about what happened here.
Mhm. And like, I mean, to be fair, that is kind of half the point of the video, right?
Yeah, it's to
Like it
make you
wasn't a
feel.
how to on
Yeah,
how
yeah.
to teach people boundaries, right?
Yeah, I do think that things happened as far as like boundaries go. I think that there was I think that this all did happen really really well. Uh given a really bad situation. I don't recommend that I don't think that this is a very pleasant thing for anybody, and if they can go a different way about doing stuff like this. That works for both people. I think it's really good to be bureaucratic on both sides. It'll make everybody feel better about the whole thing. But as far as
Okay,
like, do I think there's a
can
breach of
I?
ethics here at all? No.
Well, I've never asserted that either, right?
Oh, okay, then what's the issue?
Like
Is it just
I
that he
think
was an
some
asshole?
or like
He should have been
I
nicer? Because I agree.
yeah, like again, like my whole like whenever I push back on what you're saying is only
Mm,
when you say this was the right thing to do. So now you're ascribing morality to it, and I'm like
yeah.
pushing back on you ascribing morality to it because I don't think we can make that decision.
Um.
But like again, you're the expert, so you
Oh.
might
Oh.
have
Oh. Wait. Wait. Wait.
information that I
When I
don't,
say this
and
is the
like
right thing, I'm just saying like if we strip away all the things about like the individual people here, and I'm saying when
Mhm.
we run into a boundary, do we go
Oh,
this way or
oh,
that way? This is what I mean when things are done right, because I see people violate and push each other's boundaries all the time in really bad
mhm,
ways, which I think are unethical. And I think that
okay,
just when they interacted with each other's boundaries, this was correct. This is
okay.
what
So
maximized the agency of both people while making sure that neither of the people's boundaries got violated. This is the
okay,
goal that's very rarely
can I
achieved.
can I make a concession, but also ask a concession of you in order to make my concession?
Uh, you're free to ask. Yeah.
Okay, so do you think it might be the case that you are looking at like maybe a specific moment in the conversation and you're saying this is actually an ideal instead of right, an ideal way of going about things? And when people have an issue with you saying right is because they think that because most people look at a certain thing happening and the context before and after in order to make a determination whether or not an action was right or wrong. And
Sure.
when you say this was the right thing to do, people look at before and after, and they're now doing the narrative thing instead of just looking at that one action. And they're saying, how can you say that this was the right thing to do? Because like it's obviously very murky, like at best, right?
I guess
So,
so. Is what you're saying? Can I try to steel man that?
mhm.
So it sounds like you're asking, or it sounds like what you're saying is that when I
Wait,
say that
hold
it's
on.
the right thing, that I'm also like people are going to hear that and think that I'm also assuming that everything that happened before was also like perfect leading up to it.
Or
Uh
this was the right action in this particular scenario, right?
uh
So like let's just say um let's take football for example.
okay.
Let's just say every team wants to win, right?
Yeah.
And you win generally speaking by scoring touchdowns, right?
It's a fair
Or
assumption.
scoring points at least, right?
Yeah, this is definitely how
But
we
at
win.
but let's just say you're losing by 2 points.
Mhm.
There's like 2 minutes left on the clock, and you do like a really long pass or a really long run. Is it the right decision or the wrong like is it the right decision to go into the end zone, or is it the right decision to take a knee like a yard away so that you can kick the field goal, start to win, but also bleed the clock out so that the other team can score points?
Uh I see what you're saying. What you're saying is that there's multiple ways to do this correctly,
Well,
and I'm
like
choosing this
you.
one.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that like,
Sorry,
um,
there's multiple ways to get to the
if
desired
yeah,
outcome.
if no, if you're looking at one particular action, like the one play, like you take away the situation, right? If
Mhm.
you see someone break out a long run and then kneel at the 1 yard line, you're like, what the fuck are you doing, right? Like, why didn't you go in for the touchdown? Like, are you an idiot,
Oh, I
right?
see. Sure. Yeah. You were already there.
But
Why
if
would
you
you
look at the
not
context, right,
go?
then you're like, oh, this was actually correct. But kind of inverse when people are talking about Mr.
Yeah.
Girl,
If they're
where
like
like
safety
if
has
you
150
look,
pounds on me is standing there, I'd rather take the knee than risk getting fumbled here.
yeah,
Sure.
right, but like taking the knee when there's nothing around you is just like a dumb thing to do, right?
Yes. This
Like,
is this is like non-opinionatively. This is like objectively
yes,
wrong in the game of
it's called
football.
situational football, right? Like it might not be the best thing to do, but in this situation, it was the best thing to do.
Sure.
So like,
Yes.
so,
That's exactly what I'm
but like
saying.
yeah. So like when you're saying this was the right thing to do, and you're looking at one particular action, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about somebody who, like, let's just say someone scores a touchdown, and you're like, that was the right thing to do. But then other people are looking at the context, and in their mind, they're like, like you're 2 minutes away, like you should have taken the knee so that the other person, like the other team, doesn't have a chance to touch the
Come
ball
back.
again, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's.
So like my concession that I would ask is like maybe I would concede that like in an ideal world, in an ideal relationship, what he's doing is probably really good. Like I would agree with each individual thing. But given the context, you see how people can think that it was a little bit problematic.
Oh yeah. I'm very sympathetic to people that don't agree with me. I think it's extremely hard to see it my way. Um.
hmm Because most people are looking at the entirety of the situation rather than the specific things that or the ideas that he's trying to convey, right?
Yeah,
Because
I think
people
that people are
like
going to see her crying
yeah.
and see this being see two people in high stress, one person cries and leaves and then comes back,
Mhm.
and they're going to have a very emotionally charged feeling towards her that something really bad had happened to her. And it may not
Like
have been bad even. Like there's
mhm.
everything about that
Sure,
situation
sure.
makes it very
There
hard
can
to
be people.
discern uh what is really happening. I think the whole thing is very confusing, which is why I spent a
Mhm.
lot of time and I've talked to a bunch of people about it because like um yeah, I think
Mhm.
it's perfectly reasonable for 10 different people to watch that and have 10 different very strong opinions about like what they think did or didn't happen there.
Okay, so do you see how like okay, would you say that you are correct when you say like this was the right thing to do or that he handled it perfectly? Would you
I
still
don't think he
stand
handled it
by that
perfectly,
that
no.
verbiage? Oh, okay. Because I like that's kind of like the words you used in that video, and I was just like, I don't really agree.
Um yeah, I might have been using some extremes to demonstrate that I think that this is when we're talking about when the boundaries came up and they were
Mhm.
enforced, like this is exactly
Yeah.
like this specific action is exactly what I want to see from people. I want to see people who are not willing to cave on their boundaries while respecting
Mhm.
other people's boundaries as much as they possibly can. This is how we should negotiate them to make sure that everybody's safe. Now, do I think that uh, this should have been not on camera? Sure. Do I think this should have been uh, discussed with like more compassion in everybody's voice? Everybody should like maybe they could have. There's a lot of things that you could do to make
Mhm.
this a lot more comfortable and pleasant for everybody, and I would always say do that.
Mhm.
I'm not about uh, suggesting that people get aggressive if that's not if they can emotionally deal with these things and make less aggressive decisions and they can make more concessions without violating their boundaries. Always do that 100% of the time. I never want to see people get more worked up and stressed out and have negative feelings associated with tough decisions they had to make uh,
Mhm.
ever.
Yeah. So
But
like
given the
I
way
would
certain
say
things go, it's like, well, this already happened. So at this point, this is the best thing you can do.
well, yeah, so like I would say the principles I would roughly agree with, right? Like but like I would never showcase that video as like an example of how to do things. Like I wouldn't that was just a really bad situation in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think the really good thing that's shown there is that how we don't run into
How
decisions about making boundaries under ideal situation under ideal conditions often. This is how it usually looks for people. And when the really and then when the boundaries come into play and we have to make a decision, this is what it'll usually look like. But in
Mhm.
this case, both people did a really good job at maintaining their own boundaries
Well, I mean,
in
arguably
this
she did,
really rough.
right?
No, I think she really did when she got up and walked away. She got up, she walked away.
No, no,
Um,
but like continuing that conversation, like I mean, I guess you think that she was totally fine with the ragdoll stuff, so I
I think,
guess you
I,
wouldn't agree.
well, I think that she dealt with her feelings enough. I think she couldn't. That conversation couldn't have gone any further without her, without it being bad for her. So she said, "Okay, I'm gonna leave." She dealt with a lot of the heavy emotions. She cried loudly,
Mhm.
and then I think she came back because now she could. The fact that she was able to get up and walk away in that shows to me like a pretty good grip on valuing the boundary more than like the other negative thing, like other than I think a lot of people will either concede that or I think most time when somebody's like that they'll just like concede it uh or like escalate the argument to like even higher level. Getting up and walking away to have those extreme emotions so that nothing like gets further and further worse is
But why
that's
would it
big to
get
me.
worse if she was totally fine with it?
Why
Because
would it
to
get worse?
me
Because
it
they were
kind
arguing and it was getting worse. They're arguing about the date thing. Um, I guess I could say the same thing. Why did it get better when she came back?
Because she probably found a little bit more peace with violating her boundaries.
If she found peace with it, then I'd say it's not a
Mhm.
violation. She had dealt with the emotions that she was having, and then
Wait, wait, wait,
thought it
wait,
through
wait.
and said, "Okay, I guess
No,
this is what I can do."
N- no, because like, if so, he has that boundary that he doesn't want to like be part of the conversation about the date, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say he really, really wants to do that. Is that no longer a boundary for him? Because he would like I would guess, right? If there was something he wanted to do, he valued more than not being part of the conversation about the like dates, right? um, I think he would probably be okay with violating that boundary in order to get something that he wants more, right?
Wait. I
Like
think
this
that
this
what the
is
way you
this is
just
how
set
this
that
is how
wait,
people.
the way you just
Yeah.
set that up isn't a violation of a boundary. Then it's negotiating and saying, "Okay, I have a boundary here, but for this thing, I would be comfortable moving it."
Okay, so
Um,
there are okay.
yeah, like the way you asked that, like makes it factually so. He said, "If there's a thing that's more important than the boundary, then the boundary matters less, and you can do this thing, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what you just said."
Mm-hmm. Okay, so so if someone is willing, like is not willing to do something, but would be willing if the other person did something, then neither of those things are boundaries, right? Like
I think
they're
boundaries are negotiable.
negotiable. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And then he like in the middle of negotiating, he decided that he didn't want to be part of that negotiation. So in my view, if if I'm part of like if I'm negotiating something and I'm like, okay, I've run into a wall, like I'm asking you to do something that would be breaking your boundary if I didn't negotiate it, right? And I stop being willing to have that negotiation, then ethically I should be the one to to pull back on the the ask, right?
So my understanding of the appropriate way to enforce a boundary is to inform the other party who is running into it that either X, the thing that's pushing my boundary in a way I'm not comfortable with, has to stop, or I'm going to disengage with whatever this is. That's how you're supposed to do it.
Hmm.
You're supposed to make it clear where the boundary is, which he did, and said that if if this isn't acceptable, then I will do that, which is what happened. I don't think that once somebody comes into your contact with your boundary, you go, okay, bye. It's okay to talk about the fact that it happened, and that if that line
Well,
gets
yeah,
crossed,
like
then it
do you think
ends.
there's a difference? Do you think there's a difference between like just yanking away the ask or like um I guess being a little bit more understanding about the thing and so like okay, so if I'm making the ask, right, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to give that, so like this is like we're not going to do this anymore, or be like, hey, I don't know if like I don't think that this was like I don't think this is something that I'm willing to do. If that changes your opinion, like I fully understand if you don't want to continue having like negotiating this. Do you think that there's a difference there?
There is, but I also think that it's perfectly okay to say, this is literally how I've been told by when I read about boundaries and I talk to like my own mental health professionals about boundaries, it's always
Mm-hmm.
been explicitly told to me that the correct way to do this is to say, um, uh, if if the thing doesn't stop, then I have to I'm gonna remove myself from the situation. That's what to say. If the thing doesn't
Mm-hmm.
stop, I have to remove myself from the situation. So you're still giving the other person their own agency to make a decision, but that decision is either going to be that they stop violating your boundary, They can still do what they want. You're not making them saying like you can keep on doing this, but if you do, I'm removing myself from the situation. And in this case, I think removing yourself from the situation would be that this thing that I asked for isn't happening anymore. Or you can choose to not push this thing, and we can move on from here. Because that's the only thing that's the only thing that I have an issue with is that I'm not willing to do this thing. I understand if you need that, um, then we're at an impasse. It's over. I
Mhm.
don't do the thing that I want. That's what happened in that video.
Mhm.
It just
Yeah.
wasn't said in the way that you and I said it, but that to me is like
Yeah,
very clearly what
because
happened.
she wasn't being very clear. Which again, I always I would never say that she was acting perfectly either, right? Like she could have been so much more clear with her boundaries. But like to me, it's kind of like again maybe you call it mind reading or whatever, but like you can kind of feel when someone's pushing back on an idea, no?
I think we run into certain situations. Um,
Mhm.
I
You shouldn't
think
hold them to those readings that you have for sure, right? Like I wouldn't be like, oh no, you felt this way, therefore like blah 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 blah. But
no
like
wait.
you should probably be conscious of
I,
how other people are feeling in certain situations.
well,
No.
you can guess if they say it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you hold to that. But so when there's certain situations arise, um,
Mm-hmm.
there's not a lot of them, but I would say if it's something involving like my kid or one of my partners, if it is involving something that's really important that we're very tentative about, like sex, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe like a huge purchase like buying a house or something like that, something that can really change a lot of things with a simple
Mm-hmm.
decision. I think that we now have a duty to go. This is a serious conversation. I can't rely on my guesses here. I need you to be clear with your communication. I need to know exactly what's being communicated, and I need it to be I can't guess. I can't vibe it. None of that. That is not an acceptable measure at all in this situation. It's too important.
Yeah,
I care
absolutely.
too much. So
Mm-hmm.
however I feel about that doesn't matter. I need to so prior to that, we're kind of like hippieing it out. We're being like very real with our emotions and raw and like we're really trying to understand each other's feelings and all that. Once we get to a certain point, it's like, okay, it's time for me to put my suit on. We need to have the form here. I need to know
Mm-hmm.
exactly the information and I can't go off of any feelings anymore. This is just what it is and I need to know. Um,
Yeah, when you're being proactive, I would 100% agree with you. But if you sense hesitation, you should always be feel free to like slow down on the progress of whatever you're doing, right? So like let's just say if you're like if you're like asking about like buying a car or buying a house and your significant other is like, I guess sure, like you would immediately pump the brakes, right? Obviously, right? Even though technically
yeah.
they agreed, right?
Yeah,
Like like
he
you would,
wanted
but
an
that's kind
answer.
of mind ready, right?
Okay, so let me put it this way. If they said,
Hmm.
okay, I guess, I'm like, well, uh, I want to talk about it. So we talk about it, and they're like, okay, I do want to get the car. Um, but when do you want to pick it up? There's this when our pay dates line up and all that. Like, you know what? You're the one that had the hesitancy. Um, and I know that if the money's not there on a certain day, this is gonna affect you more than me a lot. So like if we get
Hmm.
it this Thursday when
Well,
you get
well,
paid,
hold on.
and then we don't have, I'm just saying like, I think that I know you know how much I want the car,
Wait, wait.
how I want it for, but like so
Yeah,
like I
hmm.
think you
Hmm.
need to make this decision because um of what when we go to pick it up because that's gonna affect
Yes.
how much money you have when you're at work. I work from home. I don't need a lot of money, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of decisions that you're not going to be able to make uh, on the certain days. But I understand that you also you want the car to some degree as soon as possible as well. These are these decisions are only going to affect you, and I
And
really don't want to impact you on this.
I would agree if she was very enthusiastic about everything else.
Yeah,
I
well,
would
we
want,
we
and
moved
then the
past the
old.
I guess. We worked this out, so I think it's fair to say that like now we understand. So
We
I
did
guess
the,
okay, if we
no,
say
no, they
okay, I
didn't
guess.
though.
Wait. If you say okay, I guess, it seems like any kind of agreement or like conversation that we have that leads us to a conclusion needs to hold on to this guess, I guess part forever.
Well, I mean, okay,
Is what you're saying.
yes, no, no. What I'm saying is when you start to feel some hesitancy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're like this is kind of like, I guess, like maybe I'm completely wrong in how I deal with society, but when I start feeling pressure, like a pushback, like the hesitation is like you're touching the border of like the boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're like, when you need like I guess is like a very, like you're touching the border, and then if someone's like sure, then you're pushing a little bit harder, a little bit deeper into it, right? And then once they're like something breaks down, I'm not gonna be like, oh, that little thing that they broke down on, that's the only thing that there was a problem on. I'm gonna look at all the way up until I started feeling a bit of pressure back. Does that make sense?
Okay, I think so. So if they say
Because I'm
sure and
I'm
you go
pushing,
wait,
I'm pushing further in until they finally put a stop to it, and I'm like, okay, but like when they started putting that pressure, like that little pushback, that was probably the start of the problem. It's not that one tiny thing, because if that were the case, then like Shaylin blew up over choosing like the day that they were gonna do something, which makes me think that she's like insane, right? Like, why would you be okay with everything and then just blow up over
because they wasn't
being
because
allowed to
that
choose
wasn't
the
the thing
day?
that was happening. What was happening is
Exactly.
wait, Mr. Girl told her that he
Mm-hmm.
felt like she was being controlling when she did that. And that's what made them fight. They have had several videos together where they're
Mm-hmm.
talking about really intense things. And then she starts saying things to him that are like kind of pedantic like that. And he tells her, I think you're being controlling. And then they fight about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like the thing she was upset about is being told that she was being controlling because this has happened in the past as well. We have a track record for this. So it seemed like the sex stuff didn't bother her. She talked about how she felt about it and was really quick to just say yes comparatively to the control thing. Um, she talked it
Yeah,
out
again,
without
it's
like there
yeah.
wasn't like a crazy amount of tension there. She's like, well, she had questions and she's like, well, I don't really like the idea that you don't want me to like what'd she say, like moan or anything. But yeah, I think I could do it. There wasn't like a huge negotiation on
Do
whether
you
she wanted
feel
to do
that
it.
that's like that doesn't count as a slight pushback in your opinion? Do you think
Um,
that was a one
Not necessarily.
complete
She could just be
agreement?
talking it out. Um, like yeah, it wasn't so tense there that I don't think that it was just them, just like her talking it out, running out
Yeah,
her feelings about it.
yeah, again, but like like that's what I keep saying when I say like you can continue onward when someone's giving you a slight pushback, right? But that doesn't mean that there wasn't a
What I'm saying
problem, right?
is that
Like
I
it
don't
was a
know if that's a
problem that was
pushback.
overcomable, right?
It seemed like it was something that was quickly overcame. If there was even a pushback, she was just kind of like I said, she talked it out. I know for sure that she talked it out. I don't know how much resistance there was there at all. Like nobody else does
Okay,
either. It wasn't like if she
fair enough.
cried during that, if things got tense during that, I would say, oh, for sure. When somebody talks to me about something new I've never done before, I'm probably going to out loud talk it out. Um, because for me, I like people to know kind of like where I'm at. That way, I don't if I can avoid questions. It seems like the answer is gonna be more honest if I give out my thought process than I'm being asked questions. I don't know if that's what she's doing for those reasons or whatever, but I'm saying people can talk things out, and it's not necessarily a sign that I don't like it. Just a sign that like I have to think. I have not encountered this before, so I'm going to talk it out.
Hmm.
It could have been that, and
Yeah,
like I said,
I mean, it
there's
could be,
several
but like we're mind reading again, right?
Correct. This is what I'm saying is that if you get rid of any mind reading, I don't know even what you have to complain about.
Yeah, but like I'm saying that we all mind read to some degree. Like
Sure, I
this
do,
is
but I
how
don't.
society kind of works, isn't it? Like we might not agree that we should like I would say yes, we should all say exactly what's on our mind so that we can all move through the
Okay,
world.
if we all do it, then Mr.
No.
Grill was doing it too, and with them both mind reading each other, they came to
Mhm.
this conclusion that it didn't seem like there was a problem.
Okay, fair
And I
enough.
don't know why my mind reading or your mind reading would trump the two of their mind readings when they both expressed like good shit.
Well, no,
You
no, no, because whenever I say where I viewed the problem, you always push back on it as mind reading. So like
no, I'm saying
that's what
that
I.
you're saying like I think it was this, and all I'm
Mhm.
trying to suggest is that it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. I'm not really comfortable with declaring a certainty about what happened.
Well,
I'm saying like it could be a lot of different things here. Because what you're doing is
it,
you're picking one, and that requires a leap of faith that I'm not willing to take here. And so,
sure.
uh,
And like what you're saying also takes a leap of faith, which I'm not comfortable going on, right? So like that's why we're having a conversation and back and forth on it, right?
what part of my thing is requiring a leap of faith?
That like if they come out and uh say that like, oh yeah, everything was totally fine, then that means nothing bad ever happened, right? Like uh are you familiar with the Andrew Tate case, for example?
Yeah.
So a lot of them have come out and said that nothing wrong happened. So did nothing wrong happen?
Well, one, I think that this is it's important and shouldn't be ignored at all. Do you agree?
What?
If they come out and say nothing wrong happened, did any of these people previously say something bad happened, or was it just like the tapes and stuff they were using as evidence? Just to refresh my memory here.
So some people have come out and said that
Like, did anybody
that
change their
like
story?
I don't think so.
Why would I not believe them then? If they're all at the same time saying that, do we have any evidence that like somebody is like coercing them while he's locked up? Is there any evidence to suggest that?
So there are people who have said that um like especially Western people who have come out and said that like shit was fucked. But
Were they in
a
a
lot of
position to
people,
like know this?
yes, it happened to them.
Okay, so that he's done it in the past, then is what
The
they're saying.
past, present, I'm like bits and pieces here and there. But the people that are saying that everything he's doing is okay are usually like super Eastern European women.
Uh, okay. Is there something that I should know about the difference between Eastern European women and like women in the West that makes this
Um yeah, so
okay?
okay, so here's an example, right? If you are in a fucked up place, uh, would you be willing to essentially sell yourself out to like slavery, to get out of that fucked up place? And are you able to consent to that?
I probably wouldn't.
Like can you sell yourself into like sex slavery to escape place that is like fucked up? Like most
I
people
would
would
say
say
I would
you
say
probably shouldn't be able to do that, right?
yeah, I would say that the elements are so coercive there. It's funny. That's
Hmm.
actually Mr. Grill's reason why he doesn't like Mr. Beast. He thinks that the people that he
What do
helps
you
can't
mean?
give their consent because it's like the offer's too good to refuse.
Okay, sure. Then they don't need the money.
Right. I disagreed with him on that.
Like, I
He had
don't
to, he
know.
had
I
he
don't
had
know what else to say. Like,
he
okay,
he had to
sure.
I'm saying they can consent. It just you have to create very specific scenarios for this to fit to where they can't. where I broke off and said they can't. I said, can I
I,
hire
I
a
would
homeless
say I
person
would
to clean
say
my house for $500? Yes. Can I do it if they need eye surgery that costs $500 the next day, and I'm gonna sell the? Oh, can they clean it? Can I pay them $500 to clean my house naked? Yeah. What if they need surgery that costs $500 the next day so that they can see? No. There's a certain
like I would
threshold
say
which becomes
like
bad.
the threshold is what we would consider to be like humane treatment, right? Like let's just say instead of sex trafficking, right? Like instead of like getting these women out of fucked situations to like make money off of them by like putting them naked online. Instead, I have a cleaning service, and I take these Eastern European women, and I like, not sexually, obviously, have them perform like cleaning services, like for motels and shit. Like, would that be human trafficking? Like, probably not, right? Because it's still
Right.
humane treatment. The issue comes when you're taking advantage of them in an inhumane way, right? So like regardless of what the person says, right? Like if the treatment we if we push back on what the treatment is, whether or not they consented or agreed to it kind of doesn't really matter because you're still treating them in a horrible way.
Uh, I'm probably going to agree with that most of the time. I think there's some scenarios in which you can
Well, no, no,
consent
no.
to.
Sorry. Like for chat. No, myopic. You, if you're being upfront about everything,
Is it the
so like
Myopic
you said,
Times?
yes, he's a good friend of the channel.
I just had a debate with him yesterday. We're chill.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we talked
cool,
about the
cool.
word
So
retarded.
retard. No, I'm just
He
kidding.
won my he won my panel. The side that doesn't agree with me, whoever the
Uh-huh.
muterator decided the best, got to one-on-one the next week, and that was him.
Mhm.
We had a good debate. It was fun.
Yeah, I had a good conversation with him earlier about it.
Oh.
So he said it's human trafficking if you use any type of coercion or deceit. So I would say that like if you're upfront with everything about your cleaning business, like
Wait,
where's the
he worded that really maliciously. If you tell them that there's gonna be apples on the transport there's no apples. You didn't human traffic them. We would expect to meet a certain threshold of abuse for it to be human trafficking.
Mhm.
That's the thing
Yeah.
that actually matters. It's not about if you are perfectly upfront and honest about everything. Is there a threshold of abuse that's being met here? Because you could probably lie about a good deal of things, um, and not have it be human trafficking. Like, I agreed
No,
to
no,
work
no,
for
no.
my
So,
uncle for
yeah.
a month, and when I got there, I didn't have the internet access that I was told I had, which is extremely important to me.
Mhm.
Because I had something going on that I needed a good connection for. I wasn't human trafficked, even though this was like a pretty big detriment to me. I wasn't human trafficked
Yeah.
for my labor. There has to be a threshold of abuse. It's not about the honesty or transparency.
Well, no, no, no. The interest, the part is deceit, right? So like if you'd asked him if like if there was internet connection, and he's like, yeah, there's perfect connection, and there wasn't connection, and like that was like I mean, like it wouldn't be human trafficking, it would be deceit, right?
Yeah, it would be
Because he's
shitty,
being dishonest, right? Like
but nowhere
so
near the
that
threshold for human trafficking.
yeah, no, 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 but like that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
I'm pushing back on his definition,
Well, then we're on the
right?
same.
Like
Yeah. Well, then we're on the same
yeah,
side
yeah,
here.
yeah, no, 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 yeah. That's why I was wondering, what are you talking to him, but are you
Yeah,
talking
I'm
to
talking
me?
to the thing
Like,
that you brought up. Yeah,
oh yeah, yeah,
it's
like
kind of saying like that's insane.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
say
yeah. Okay,
that.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a misunderstanding on my part.
No, you're good.
I because like you start pushing back, but I wasn't sure if you're pushing back on me or to
No,
the
that
definition I was
terrible
reading out,
hypothetical that
or
I disagreed with the premise of.
okay, yeah. But like you would agree that the cleaning business that I created, that wasn't taking advantage of women, like I'm paying them a good, like decently above minimum wage, or even if I was paying them minimum wage,
Yeah, even if
if
you
I
told
was
them you pay
treating
them
them
three
well,
dollars an
right?
hour more than you said you were going to, that's still not human trafficking. But it's there's probably some other legal issue there.
I mean, yeah, if I couldn't, like, I probably wouldn't be able to get a legitimate visa for them. Let's be honest, right? Like,
Sure. Yeah, I just want to be
but
careful because
yeah,
that's a pretty important term to keep sacred. We definitely don't need that to turn into like the next like fascist or Nazi. Okay, we need to make
yeah,
sure
yeah,
that
for
we
sure, for
we all
sure.
understand what human trafficking is.
Okay,
We have
okay,
learned
fair.
that we have to protect our strong words.
Yeah, like, yes, I guess technically speaking, like things like taxis and stuff are human trafficking, but sure. That's not what we're talking about.
Did Myopic say that?
Yes.
Fuck you. That's
He
to
said
him.
if you brought them from one place to another, then that would definitionally be human trafficking. Technically, you're not wrong, but like we're talking about the crime of human trafficking, not the act of human trafficking.
Um, shit. I probably got like 5 more minutes in me. I have I don't know
No
if
worries.
you've
I
like if you know
probably
Myopic,
should.
I don't know how connected
Yeah.
you are with the things I'm doing. We're doing the roast of Chud Logic tomorrow. Like 17
Oh yeah.
people I have to make sure that I have jokes for before I bring them on. And make sure that I
Jesus.
get Chud really good too. Yeah, it's a bunch of people from like Twitch poll that have like had good interactions with Chud, and we're all gonna lay into each other hard as fuck. Zonia is bringing the fucking heat. Oh my god, she showed me one joke and I was like, I can't fucking wait. Oh my god, it's gonna be really good. So there's a big responsibility on me to make sure that I have all this on the up and up. I just don't want you to think that I'm
Mhm.
just like trying to dip out because I don't enjoy the conversation or where
Oh
it's
no no
at.
no no
And in
no! Like
fact, uh,
yeah,
this
you've
has
already
been.
given me plenty of time. Like we've been talking for what, like almost 4 hours at this point,
Oh
right?
my god, are you
Oh
serious? Uh,
no,
3:10.
just over three. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I was because like I was looking at it, it's almost like it's quarter to four, and I was like, we were supposed to meet at 12, so that's almost 4 hours. But then we started a bit late. But
That
yeah,
was my bad.
uh, no worries, no worries. Like but yeah, I if people let me, I'll talk with people forever. So like
Same.
no
I'm from
don't like
Michigan. Have you
yeah.
ever lived in the States? You ever been in the
No, I've
Midwest?
been to the States for like 3 days.
Okay, so in the Midwest, it takes us like it's no joke. Like it can take
Hmm.
us up to like a half hour to say goodbye. It's it's a cultural
I
thing.
no. Well, I mean, I don't
It
know how sensitive you are to race, but like, I dated a Jewish girl, and she told me it was a Jewish goodbye. So I don't know who to
did it
believe
take
now.
a really long time?
I think, yeah, like, when you say goodbye and then chit chat for like, oh, like it was lovely to meet
I
you,
think
and
we can
like
both have very
start a
similar
conversation.
like cultural
So who's
impressions.
appropriating which culture is my
Oh,
question.
I don't believe in
Okay,
cultural
I'm an
appropriation.
ignorant Japanese person.
I don't believe in cultural appropriation at all.
uh,
If somehow like if you mimic something somebody does and like it's somehow innocuous enough, it's fine, but like if this person happens, if the thing happens to be something like that has enough get the fuck out of here. We all copy each
I
other
will
all
say,
the
I will
time.
say
We're
though,
always doing things that we like. Silly.
I will say though, that like the original definition of cultural appropriation, I do agree with, because like back in the day, like I believe it was for like Native American things. They weren't allowed to sell it, but white people were allowed to sell it, and
uh
that's a big problem. So I would
yeah.
have an issue with that. But if it's just like, oh yeah, like something you drew inspiration for something, but like everyone's available to create that, then I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think with
Uh,
Native Americans, if you come in and then like kill all the people and then you do a thing that they did for profit, like
mm.
that's kind of bad. But I think the
Yeah,
thing that we
and
need to
people like,
focus on is the other thing that like really makes this thing bad.
well, no, we're even talking about like the like people on the reservations weren't allowed to create and sell these products, but white people were. Like that's the bad part in my opinion. Like
Um,
obviously the genocide was bad, but like that definition of cultural appropriation, I do agree with. That is bad, we should push back against. But it's like, okay, sure, someone like wore a kimono, right? Like kimono literally means things you wear, right? Like it's just normal clothes in old Japan, and now we're like, oh, cultural appropriation. Like, who gives a shit?
I don't know. I think
uh,
that it's nice to be nice. but I think that once information moves from one spot to another, I don't think other people get to gatekeep what you do with that information. They can try, and you should be considerate of their feelings, but like,
Wait,
I
hold on,
don't think
hold
it's
on.
that bad.
Myopic just sent a dissertation probably like 5 minutes ago. Okay. Yes, the crime that I was referring to was telling someone that you would pay them X amount to get them to come to a workplace, like a state or country over, and then when they're there, saying, "Oh, now that you're here, you only get Y amount." Actually.
The thing that makes that human trafficking is trapping them. They're trapped. They can't leave.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And like
they don't.
regardless of whether it's like the issue is like for instance, if a job application, right, and you have the interview, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna pay you this and this amount, and you show up to work and they're like, oh, we can only like shit's changed, we only have a position that pays you other amount, like that wouldn't constitute
As
human
long as that
trafficking.
door's unlocked and
However,
you can make it home, they were
yes,
assholes.
however, it gets really hairy when you like pay for transportation and the person does not have the means to get back. That becomes that's kind of in my mind at least.
That is
That
inherent. That's the thing that makes it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like if I'm like, come work at the local gas station, I'll pay you $15, but then I'm like, oh, I did the budget, I can only pay you 14.50. Like that's not human trafficking.
Even if
But
it was
if
$8, as long as you can get in your car and go home,
yeah,
uh, I mean,
but
or would have
yeah,
been
like
reasonably expected to be able to get in your car and go home. I don't
mhm.
think like if your tire blows out and now you're stuck there, that still wasn't human trafficking.
Yeah,
You
and
still would have
and
worked the
this
same
this
day
is
and had
the
a blown out
this is the
tire.
point that like most of the Andrew Tate defenders get stuck on, because they're like, oh, like if they could have walked out the door, like it wasn't human trafficking. But it's like, well, he flew them to Romania and he's footing the bill for everything. I don't
Yeah.
even know if they had like the access to their own passports. Like that was a story that was said that, to be fair, was not corroborated. So I don't say that as a fact, right? But
Yeah.
like if they didn't have the means to leave the country or go back home, then yes, it was human trafficking,
Yeah.
even though they could technically walk out the door, right?
Yeah. If you can't undo the really big thing that's keeping you
Mhm.
there, then yeah, it's human trafficking. Because you're taking a person and you're trafficking them. You're taking them from somewhere and you are putting them somewhere else. If it's just as easy to go back, no harm, no foul. Like you're a dick. You tricked somebody.
Yeah.
Shame on you. But when they're stuck, that's how you're trafficked. They are here now. It's not like they are
Mhm.
here until they get back. This is the thing you did was you moved somebody, and like now they're just here. That's the bad part.
Mhm. But yeah, I will let you go though. And
Yeah, if
Headless and Myopic would probably want to hop on and yell at me for saying things or not saying things. I don't know.
sure,
They'll
if you
probably yell
ever
at me
want to
for
pick
something.
this up, or I guess I want to ask, did you get anything that you were looking for out of the conversation?
Um, kind of. I think we went like I did kind of want to like, so how I learn how people think about things is talking about certain issues that we disagree on, and like talk about how they came to the decision or like the understanding that they did. So I think I got like a decent amount with our long conversation about the the video, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like if you ever like usually I'm streaming and are you in my Discord?
No, I don't think so. You can send me a link though. I'll join.
Okay. Like if like I'm always willing to just chat with people. I'm usually in my open open stream VC.
Oh
So
sure.
like if you just hop in, like I'm always happy to chat with people. Okay, never mind. Like if you go to my stream and then my profile, Discord link should be there. If
I'll ask
let's
Myopic
like if
Times
you
for a Discord link. We're both in
Okay.
Wix. He can get that, right?
I'm also in your Discord, but like usually I'm in VC in
Oh,
my Discord. So like I can send you the link and shit like that.
okay,
Uh,
cool. That way I won't
yeah.
like forget or anything. Cool. Yeah, hit me with that link and I will definitely join.
Okay. And yeah, just feel free to pop in. I'm usually just having like I'm always happy to have more people come in and have conversations.
Yeah, you
If
got
I
it.
don't want people in, then I'll be in the secret room, so you won't see me.
Fair enough.
But yeah.
Have a good day. Day for you now?
Yeah, it's basically 4 p.m. I'm probably gonna take a smoke break. I don't know if I wanna make food, and then yeah, we'll see. Um, but yeah, thanks for the chat. We'd love to chat with you in the future. But yeah, take care.
You too. Have a good one.
All right, see ya.
All right, that's it for me. I got stuff to do.